Futures trying to hold on to some gains here this morning as we head into what could be an important week for the overall market. Fed coming up this week on Wednesday. We'll touch on that coming up. Oil back to the upside here in a pretty big way to start things off as well for a brand new week. Brent crude 104 and change right now. We have WTI closing back in on $100 a barrel. More headlines coming out of the Middle East after the U.S. struck Iran's Karg Island over the weekend. Some concerns on how NATO will come into play here for the remainder of this. We'll talk about that all ahead of, again, the Fed coming up Wednesday. Higher oil prices means the inflation conversation back in focus once again this week. And we get NVIDIA's GTC kicking off later today, 2 p.m. Eastern. We'll hear from Jensen, the keynote, going to kick this entire thing off. A lot of people excited about this, but I think there's, kind of mixed feelings here as far as the motion, or as far as the market is concerned, given everything else that's going on.
Well, at least we're starting green here, for, which has been a
little bit of a change.
A little bit of a change. So for GTC, CPUs and inference are going to be in focus here. CPUs are making a resurgence. Demand for them is growing with these data centers. And then, of course, inference, we've been talking about that with the acquisition, or the investment, I should say, in the Grok, GROQ, and the chips that they make. Good morning, guys. There's a whole lot to talk about. As Brendo mentioned, the Fed meeting coming up this week, and now it's more speculation. We had actually heard speculation about this in the past, that Fed Chair Jerome Powell may stay on his position, not as the chair, but just as a member of the FOMC, continuing forward, which would be unprecedented. Nobody's done that, according to his lawyer, of course, so we haven't heard from him directly. Begrudgingly, of course. Separately, President Trump and President Xi were supposed to meet at the end of this month, early next month, and that is being called into question as well because of the Iran war. President Trump floating some ideas out there that if President Xi doesn't really help him open the Strait of Hormuz, the meeting might be canceled. We know that Jameson Greer and Secretary Bessent going to meet with their counterparts this week as a prelude almost to the bigger meeting. So there's no shortage of things to discuss and take note of, Brendo.
Yeah, the macro storyline continues to be in focus, definitely. On that, Bessent speaking right now. I'm not sure if it's on CNBC or not. Don't see him up there at all, but he is speaking somewhere right now, talking about oil prices. Oil probably, quote unquote, much lower than $80 in a couple of months. So still pounding the table on that. This is a temporary spike in prices, and temporary, we've heard this narrative before, spike in inflation that we saw coming through on Friday as well with some of those PCE numbers. So Fed meeting starts tomorrow. We'll get the announcement coming up Wednesday. They're not going to do anything, but it'll be interesting to hear Jerome Powell's not caring press conference at the end of it.
Would that be his last?
Should be, yeah.
Should be, eh?
Should be.
Oh, baby.
I mean, they still haven't theoretically approved Warsh to take over yet, so I'm not sure how that's going to work if they don't. But yeah, I mean, we'll see how Fed Chair Powell wants to go out in his swan song here.
Like you said before, like he's very just matter of fact, and this is how it is. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this or that, which would be interesting for Bitcoin as well. Like if the hawkish tone comes out, I think we'll get a sell-off. We had a nice move in the weekend, but it kind of dependent really on the tone from the Fed.
Just quickly going back to NVIDIA, you mentioned an important part of what's going to come, or potentially what's going to come from Jensen today, the Grok tie-up.
Yep.
They purchased that company going back to, I feel like the end of last year is when it was announced. I was reading some comments from Chamath over the weekend. He was a big part of Grok initially, and he was saying that, or hinting at, what is going to come from Jensen on the inference side from Grok. And it was essentially, that's why they wanted Grok, essentially, was for what is going to be announced today. So a lot to come. Again, 2 p.m. Eastern, we'll get Jensen's keynote. Good to have Niels back. Brought some warm weather with him from Florida. Morning, guys.
I tried to bring some warm weather, but it's not that. It's actually nice, but it's going to get cold again tomorrow. So
it's going to get cold.
Forget about that. NVIDIA is pretty much where it was when I left, so that hadn't changed. It moved, but it didn't really move all that much. Like what? Like everything was going crazy.
It's the last 8 months on NVIDIA there.
I know.
Price not changed.
Literally nothing's changed there. But hey, NBIS is moving. You've got Micron moving. All of the crypto stocks, almost all of every crypto stock that I looked at, and Bitcoin, ETH, and the alts doing really well this morning. So you're getting a bounce there. Oil stocks are going to be in play, no questions asked. But yeah. Good to be back. Good to be back in the saddle. Obviously, there was some turmoil last week. Was able to hear about it and see, obviously, with oil prices. But certainly, it's good for them. It's good for the markets because there's opportunities out there for us to be able to trade. And I don't know if you caught any of the WBC, but
yeah, I caught a lot of it.
That was it's some good ball. That's all I will say. Like I wish they had been playing some. We were just there for training. It'd be nice because the games were in Miami. We weren't going to go all the way.
Yeah, over there. It would have been nice.
But it's going to be a really, really exciting final, I think.
What is the USA Puerto Rico or something like that? Because Japan lost, right?
USA shouldn't have. Well, whatever. Last night there were some questionable calls, but
yeah, I know the guy. I was watching right to the end. It was. I assume it was a little bit too late for you, but I saw the strike out there at the end. It was not a strikeout.
No, it was not a strike. But what are you gonna do?
That's sports,
ball,
man.
That's sports.
That's what happens. Oil today down 1.5%. It's not like it's flying around here. It's only $97 right now. So we'll see if oil can get going, finally break through that $100 here on light sweet crude. That would be nice if that could finally happen. But yeah, not much going on right now. As Neil mentioned, though, oil just the last couple of days trying to leak up a little bit here, but still can't break through. So we'll be watching this one today, USO, ears to the ground to see if there's anything pumping around there on the markets floor. I don't know. Nasdaq's higher, man. I think it's a risk-on kind of day. Q's higher, NVIDIA higher. Really like NVIDIA, obviously, at these levels with a forward PE of 22. I mean, seems pretty unbelievable to get NVIDIA at these prices. Q's back upside. We told you we bought some of the market dip last week, so hopefully that can hold out there today. Nasdaq up 1% today, ES up 0.8%. Some of the bank stocks trying to rally as well. And then the energy names like 285 for JP Morgan. This name's got to get going at some point, right? A lot of these names just so beat up. Morgan Stanley, them all. They're all like huge moves to the downside. I think this is where the value is going to finally start to come in here for some of these names. I mean, Morgan Stanley's high was 194. You're down to 150 right now. So nice little levels coming through there, breaking through the 200-period moving average. I like that one. We got SoFi trying to get above $20 again.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's not going to, but it needs to get up there still. But not bad, up 1.35%. Rivian, things like that. I thought there was Randy behind us, but it's not. Rivian, $15. That's not good either. Huge downside plays for this name as well, looking to break lower, but maybe we got a nice little flat bottom support area here for Rivian. It's 1.21%. Yeah, big on crypto today as well, 73,000. That should be a good little runner there. So I think there's a lot to trade. I've got so far written on here the market and IBIT. So we're going to try to go long on both of these today, both the NASDAQ and crypto with, I think it's a risk on kind of day one more time here today. So should be a good one. All right. We have Michael Noss coming through at 8:30, so that should be fun as always. Neil's back, Joe's back. Obviously we've already seen Sharif, so Joe didn't go anywhere. Joe's not back. He's always been here. Obi will be hanging around, and I see Adara's back there somewhere. There she is. And our watch list is out, so make sure you do grab the watch list as well. So.
And to Mike Philip DeRider. I guess, Mike, you changed it from Mike P. DeRider in the chat to Philip. We do see CoreWeave. So, yes, a wealth of things are strong today. Heck, BMNR is up 8%. But CoreWeave up 8 points today as well. I think if you're looking, Micron in the memory is probably leading the way a little bit. It's not like NVIDIA's having a bad day, but NVIDIA's only up 1.5%. Right, stronger than the NASDAQ, which is 1, but you are going to find a lot of the growth AI names looking pretty good so far to start. Not a fantastic last couple of weeks for CoreWeave, but when you look at it just from the standpoint of this 15-minute chart here, I'd say you've rounded the bottom and you got a little bit of a breakaway here. So there was your, flush bottom underneath $80. 80 looks like it held really good support to end the week, and you're breaking out above this little rounded bottom. So into 84 maybe could be good. Might add this one to the list. I do up 8%, you can't really deny it, and it's still got a pretty good gap to be filled in here. So a lot of strength to be able to find. One thing I haven't seen this morning is a lot of small cappers running, Sharif. So I don't know how busy you're going to be. All the strong things have been, NBIS is moving, and a bunch of chip names are looking really good. I don't really see any of those like crazy small ones looking that spicy. And Christmas in the chat says Sinners was robbed. I guess they must have lost. For best
the guy.
I don't really pay.
Michael Jordan won Best Actor. Then I don't think whatever that war won or whatever it was.
Oh,
DiCaprio won.
What was it? Something Battles.
Yeah, no more battles or something like that. Yeah. They won something there. So yeah, it was pretty good. I don't know. I didn't watch too much of it there. Conan's not. He's pretty good, but I don't know, he's not it for me. They're losing that in January, the year of 29. So 2029, it goes all over to YouTube, the Oscars. So there's a couple more like that, 3 or 4 years. But yeah, I thought it was probably a pretty good show. I don't know, I didn't watch too much of it there. I saw K-pop Demon Hunter, the girl, Korean Canadian there. She won for Best Animated Picture. So that was pretty good. And yeah, I didn't do too much.
That's a no-brainer.
There was Zootopia 2 and some were in there as well. Okay, let's go back over the desk. Bitcoin 73.5, so that's nice. We've got some nice, good stories happening there today.
You have a little one moving around here right now.
This one's pretty good, Neil. CTMX over here. I mean, it's not the biggest mover on the day, 55 1/3, but it's putting in a gnarly looking bull flag, Brendo, and especially I love when the volume weighted average price overlaps with a key technical area of support. That way you get a double whammy. You got VWAP, you got the whole dollar level, and this is exactly what it's doing. VWAP and $7 kind of overlapping here. Definitely going to be looking at this one if it's holding up during the midday.
Yeah, a little bit quieter for small caps at the end of the week last week, so we'll see how that kicks off so far this week. My monitor's not working, so I'm not going to be able to show you anything. Tesla, take my word for it, is up this morning in the pre-market. Back to basically mid-Friday resistance type levels. There's a couple of positive notes on Tesla this morning. One from the Future Fund LLC, which is Gary Black, talking a lot about how you and I had this conversation on Friday, talking about how higher oil prices, higher gas prices, again, could bring back the whole electric car conversation once again, depending on how long this lasts and how sustained it is. Going back end of COVID, I guess it was, when we had that run up in gas prices. That's what really
I'll never forget
kicked that off. And then there's also Cantor Fitzgerald coming out with a nice note today.
Just anecdotally here for a second. So I went in, I remember specifically my old man and I drove out to Guelph to look at a red Model Y. It was a performance, Brendo, so it was like, oh, this is the fast one, when there weren't too many of them still on the street, right? And this thing, what does it sell for, I think, from the factory at the time in 2022? It was like 60-something, maybe high 60s, low 70s. This guy was selling it for about 95.
Sure.
Right? Yeah, a quick 20,
sure.
Right? Just in the pocket right there. But that was double whammy, right? Remember, we couldn't make as many Model Ys because the fabs were still, we had that CPU shortage or the semiconductor shortage, and you had gas prices. You don't have that this time around.
No.
You just have the gas prices, right? So it should be interesting to see how long prices stay up for. But yeah, look, lots of different headlines today for Tesla. The one I want to focus on is Elon Musk coming out on Saturday saying the Terafab AI project could launch within about 7 days. So a very short time. That is the first time Tesla's taking a step to scale its internal AI infrastructure. They're centering around here the 5th generation Brendo AI 15 chip. It's designed for FSD. Of course, Musk suggested it may eventually build its own large-scale semiconductor fab facility. And we know they've tied the knot with Samsung and some others to secure production. But a vertically integrated company like Tesla probably wants their own fab, maybe not on the scale, of course, of some others, but to be able to secure their own demand.
I think he's just going to need it. Going back to that investor day, I remember at the end of last year, Q4 of last year, that was one of the things he said, that they can buy as much capacity as TSM will give them, as anyone else essentially will give them, and it still wouldn't be enough. No. So he even hinted at it going back to that point. Tesla up here so far today, guys, looking good.
Yeah, I mean, Tesla, you know what? I would like to have seen it over $400 today. That would have been a heck of a lot cooler, because one of the few things I shouldn't say few, but one of the things that did stand out when I was going over some of the charts that were missed. Hey, there we go, e-signal. Some of the charts that were missed was so many things did not break out of the malaise is maybe the word, consolidation, or just like NVIDIA was a stock and Tesla was a stock that this is exactly where we left it, or at least when I left it, and we're still just sort of chilling out, boringly holding the bid here, but underneath that 4 bills. And it's like, okay, well, every day that it's over has been looking to test that 410. And if you look at Thursday and Friday, unfortunately, like double barrel resistance at 410. Like I'm gonna have this one on the note only because it's such an obvious breakaway over the 401 level. Like if it gets there another time, you break away 401, I think you're headed to that 410. So, but unfortunately, you know, catalyst or not, I think it's like having in-house chips, I think is fantastic. You see all the big boys doing it this way so they can try to keep their costs down. And I think that's going to be a good thing for them. But whether it gets us through this 401 for a breakout trade, first things first, if you don't break it, it's resistance, and you got to look for a potential fade. But I do like, if we get through 401, forget about the 400 for a bit. I think you short that in front. But that 401 is a nice breakout opportunity for Tesla. And when you're in a range-bound situation like this for Tesla, if it does, you know, this week head down into the low to mid 380s, you look for the bid there. Once it's into the 10 to low teens, you start thinking about, you know, resistance and fades because we just haven't done much, unfortunately, here for Tesla. As I said, this is pretty much the same kind of chart that NVIDIA has been doing. And when you have that kind of a choppy range, you look for it to break away from the key prices, you look to fade tops, and if we do see those 80s, maybe look for the bid down there.
Yeah, it looks like we're getting some good, good little bottoms there in Tesla for sure. I mean, on a daily chart, those 80s look great. I mean, if we can come back in, I mean, I was saying last week that there's a lot of these Mag 7 names that have, you know, dropped into some good levels. I mean, Meta was down there at $600, get a good story today. These stocks are just a couple stories away from, you know, bouncing right back up to where it needs to go, you know, back into the 450, 460 area to make us feel a little bit better about Tesla. So we'll look to see if there's any bottom picking opportunities here, 390 into 380. For Tesla today, we talked about sort of the sick-looking stock that is Rivian these days. But, I mean, it could be also forming a nice base. Like, it's just been getting hit back to this $15 now twice. Huge move higher there, bounce in, back up to the 50-period moving average, back to 15, to the 50, back to the 15 again. So it's not good when you keep on rejecting the high side, but it's also decent to keep on bouncing. So we like that, but if this breaks lower, then you're not looking too healthy here either. So 1450 or so on a low break there for Rivian, not doing the greatest here, RIV, and you can see, look at this downside play on Friday, right? Closing near the lows. So not a great move for Rivian. Maybe that's going to be one of the shorts that we look to get involved with there at some point this either today or soon. I just don't know. I don't know what I want to do with this market, man. I mean, the market's up right now. I'm writing down some notes on here to get going. I want to look at maybe some Palantir. SpaceX IPO should be fun to see when that ever winds up kicking out. Palantir down here at 150 has been holding okay. They had a nice bounce back as well. We just got to get above the 50 period, but you're starting to form out, just like you sort of based out a little bit down here in and around this 130. I wonder if we're doing something similar. The whole, you know, about a week and a half, we haven't broke through this 148 area. So if we can hold that, then maybe we start to flag pull and get upside instead of making the move all the way back down again. So, you know, more consolidation, bounce higher there. There's consolidation, bounce. We'll see if we can consolidate again and get going. It's not too often that it just hangs around. So, you know, here it was, it broke a little lower, but you're trying to get a base of, you know, at least a week or two here at 148 to 149 for PLTR. So another name that I kind of like here. So there's lots of things, man, and I'm tempted to stay long today. So ear to the ground about USO and see if that moves around. We got some good highlights last week with some all of a sudden out of nowhere headlines. So we definitely want to make sure that we're trading those. Yeah, just a couple names on watch. And then I'm excited for NVIDIA today. I mean, this whole GTC conference getting started. There's always new companies.
Yeah, Jensen mentioned somebody.
Yeah, there's
and
always
then
new
next thing you know,
named.
you're going crazy.
And this is up 2% already, so 1.68% looking to get going as well. As Neil said, it hasn't done much in a long time, but we'll see if it eventually starts to go 185 break right into there, something like that for NVIDIA. So I like this stock, right? A value stock. I said that. I think there's going to be a big run on tech very, very soon. So excited to see if that winds up happening.
You see Randy drop those off?
I remember I said I thought Randy was here at one point.
He must have been.
Yeah, I think he did come and go there. Waiting for the coffee. That's what
special delivery.
All right. Yeah, it's 8:20. 10 more minutes till Michael. We'll see what he's going to say today. Metal names, maybe silver and gold. What SLV? I haven't.
It was still
really
weak
looked
off
at that.
74.
Yeah, it wasn't doing
I
a
thought.
heck of a lot. Still 3 million shares on. Okay, if you're going to go short, maybe something here, silver today. It's one of the only things that I'm seeing down. Gold. These are all starting to reprice just a little bit lower the last little while. Yeah, gold and silver both a little downside there. So maybe if we're going to look for a short, I got to figure out the reason to do it. But silver to the short side at some point here today, looking like it wants to sort of move a little bit. I mean, you know, this shiny thing everyone's looking at right now is oil. So silver making its move back in. Still think silver goes, you know, back up to this $90 spot. It's pretty soon, just a matter of when. So. Okay, yeah, hopefully Randy brings the coffees pretty soon. We got bananas over here right now. All right, back over to the desk. Anything moving over there that's catching your guys' eyes?
Ooh, maybe we're going to options first.
Ooh, options would be nice.
That's happened to Unity, my boy, Katina. No, in all seriousness, guys, happy Monday. Let's take a look at some of the options activity from Friday. Interesting stuff. I like how Sean was talking about IBIT here. We're going to pull up something because if we get this $42 break, maybe there'll be a little bit of a continuation. We're up 3%, 3.5% roughly this morning, considering what we've experienced over the weekend. But we're going to look at that $42 mark. And if you go to Friday's high, look at that. So it's literally 41.97 was the high of the day. You have that supply zone at $42, 25,900 contracts. And once again, what I'm looking at here, you're getting a small curl over on the 5-minute. And then maybe you can get that 42 break. And then sure enough, you'd be surpassing that supply zone. Someone's willing to absorb all of that liquidity. Now, as for the volume, 13,300 on Friday's session, and only a $3 spread. These aren't very expensive. They're going to be expiring this Friday, guys. Remember, understand your objective when trading these things. You're going to see an increase in these premiums slightly just after the open, considering we're getting that bump up over the weekend. Delta, you're going to see an increase in that as well. We're sitting on that 30 metric, and then Gamma, we're sitting around $12. So that's nothing substantial, but considering we'll be closer to at the money, you'll see an increase in that as well too. All right, moving forward, another name Sean was talking about that I really like, considering its PE. We're going to go down a couple strike prices here, considering we were looking at that $200 mark. Let's drop that $15 and see what we have going on for this Friday. 68,000 open contracts currently. That may increase, that may cool off a little bit, a little plus minus on that one. But the volume substantial, as we typically see with this name, 82,700 contracts open and closed on Friday. And then you can see we're sitting on a $3 spread with a $185 name. That's not bad whatsoever. Delta 35 as we're getting closer to at the money. And then also your gamma exposure, relatively cool. And that's going to correlate with your Vega metric here, your Greek, 46.6% here on NVDA. Let's see. It looks like the market might want to continue to the top side, guys. You're going to see an increase in some of these values.
Well, certainly, I see it. Rivian Millionaire mentioning in the chat how cheap NVIDIA is. 1320 Wolf in the chat. It has NVIDIA calls. Looks like June, the 205. So there's some bullishness out there that wasn't there, obviously, on Friday. But again, it just comes down to if it's not going to do anything breaking out of these ranges for the time being, then you got to play it into that top, right? Like you look at that support here, and hopefully if 182 can hold on NVIDIA today, then why wouldn't you test the top? It looks like it was Thursday support that did not hold at the end on Friday, turned into resistance, but it held in the beginning of the week. So as long as 82 holds, I think you got a chance to get back into 187, but at what point do you actually get a sustained breakout in this stock? For the day trade, fine. If it holds 82 and can get into that mid 180s, nobody's going to be complaining about it at all, but you need to break away here. You know, it's more like 188 than 187. And that's going to be a popular, I think, this week, and we'll see after Fed does nothing what the course is going to be. But certainly breaking this level would be huge for NVIDIA. I just don't see it as a breakout level today for obvious reasons. You're still $5 away, but I think going into that 188 as a resistance spot looks pretty good. Like I think the longs into the resistance seem like the way to go here. But that breakout, I think it's happening this week here from NVIDIA. Then you get a nice little gap fill. It was disappointing the reaction after their earnings, but that just means you're able to get it cheaper, and a lot of people like the value they're seeing with NVIDIA specifically.
Yeah, you do have a, if you think NVIDIA is going to go, then maybe AMD goes as well. We're actually at a decent spot for AMD where you could bounce off this 190. So I think this could be a good spot right into here for AMD goes back. Sort of wicked some tops here back in August. This is August of 25, okay. So just back to the summer kind of levels, right? And we said that NVIDIA is the same way. And AMD just traveled more than NVIDIA. NVIDIA kind of just, stuck the course. Right here, AMD's had its highs and its lows, and right now you're at the lows. So you might be able to pick something up on advanced micro devices. I mean, not a horrible spot right there. I think the best name in the whole bunch is Marvell, but if you're gonna look at Broadcom, that's not a bad option either. I'd rather almost all of these ones. I think I'd rather right now Broadcom and Marvell to both AMD and to NVIDIA just because of how beat up they've been. This is just a minute chart trying to see what that lows were on Friday, 322. So 326. If you look at Broadcom right here, kind of the same thing as NVIDIA. We've kind of just been in this little malaise for a while. The thing is you're bouncing off the 200 period, which might be something here as well. So they all look very, very similar, man. You're all back to sort of some of these August lows. It's kind of pick your poison, right? NVIDIA, Broadcom, AMD are all at these kind of levels. And then we go over here. The reason why I say Marvell is they had a super strong quarter and really like Marvell moving forward. I've talked about this. Obviously, I own this stock. And you're going to look at the same type of thing here, go back to where August was, and you're sort of seeing, for some reason, August was a dip for Marvell, but still, this name well above its 200 period, looking like it's a little higher than the rest of them, looking like it actually wants to break some of these tops for Marvell, and then we have a little bit ways to go up to 130, 140 for this name. So I think there's more get up here. If you like the space, I think Marvell is the best name moving forward in the space, up 2% here today. So yeah, a couple plays there. I think we're going to be all over some of these semi names with GTC coming through. So, ears to the ground on that one. I think AMD can still work despite it not being their week. So AMD on a down tick, but
Micron's weak.
Moving average. Yeah, we looked at that last week. Micron SNDK. Is it weak today, Micron? I know. Nebius is
4%.
Oh, up 4%.
Up 4% for Micron. So
you said Micron was weak.
Oh, it's their week, maybe.
Oh, it's their week. Oh, yeah. I was gonna say. I think Micron pulls back at some point, but
no, it's looking pretty good there for Micron. Well, curious to see what we have Michael coming on through.
Yeah.
There's a lot that you could. Crypto with the moves, obviously, energy out there. What's the overall market going to be looking like? So curious to see what Michael has to talk about on this fine Monday morning.
Up with some of these Chinese names today. So
nice, Baba.
Nice names for Alibaba. All right, let's go back over the desk.
Get ready for Baba Claw, I guess. I don't know.
Coming soon.
You're not going to be able to see this, but CoreWeave just took out the highs here. CoreWeave at session highs. Cerebras and CoreWeave teaming up to build a 300 megawatt AI data center in Canada, of all places, with the first phase expected online by the first half of 2027. The facility will dedicate 160 megawatts to Cerebras systems and 140 megawatts to, wait for it, NVIDIA.
NVIDIA, of course.
So CoreWeave just taking out the highs here. Let's bring in Michael Noss. Have a look at, from a macro standpoint, going to be important, I think, here over the next couple of days even. The dollar, Mr. Noss, back downside here to start things off this week, along with some of the yields ahead of the Fed coming up on Wednesday. But what a tear both the dollar and some of the longer end of the yield anyways have been on over the past couple of weeks. You think this could be important?
Yeah, I think the dollar might hold the key to a lot of what we're seeing right now. And, some of this is going to be patting myself on the back as well, because this first slide I brought you guys a while ago here. Just one slide up here. And that was the Barron's there, the dollar in decline. And we said, well, might be time to buy the dollar when this came out. And that's because of this next slide, slide 2. Last time Barron's really talked about the dollar was right at the top, right? And I'm just going to go through what we're seeing in the dollar and potentially what we could see next. And then I'll talk about why I think it's so important for equities going forward. So then this next chart, I have the one down. That is when I brought this chart to you and said, man, the dollar's holding this support. Barron's is out there saying the dollar is going to get destroyed because of tariffs. And then look what happened. Now, 3%, and 3% isn't a lot for a lot of the stuff that we look at in the equity space. But in currencies, it's a huge deal. And that's a rapid move in the dollar that has taken place. Now, we are at a very important level. Psychological, it's 100. Now, DXY, for those who don't know, again, is the dollar versus a whole bunch of other currencies, mostly the euro. I think it's like 60 to 70% the euro, just because that's a huge basket of a lot of different countries that do that. But if we go to the next chart, which is a zoomed out version, you can see how important that this level has been over the last couple of years, right? We're going all the way back. That first arrow is at the end of 2022. Every time we hit this $100 area, there seems to be some action back and forth. Now, for those who already haven't fallen asleep, why, we're trading equities and all this stuff, why do we care about the dollar? Well, this last chart is, I think, why. And the candlestick chart I have is the S&P 500. And the blue line over it, I've just overlaid the DXY or the dollar. And you can see the last time the dollar had a huge surge like that was 2022. And we all know what happens in 2022. We went down. As soon as the dollar kind of settled out, it didn't really start going down dramatically, but as soon as it settled, we had stocks going up. And the reason for this is that, just pretend you're the CEO of Apple for a second. It's much easier to run your entire company and the existence of that company when the dollar is stable. It doesn't matter if it's up or it's down. You're selling a MacBook in Canada, you put a price on it, and then if the dollar makes a wild move after that, the margins you expected to make are different. Sometimes they may work for you, sometimes they may work against you. Same in all other countries. So just like the whole world kind of wants stable oil regardless of price, the whole world also wants stable dollar. So if we're going to keep getting wild fluctuations, or especially a big up move in the dollar, that could hurt any company that has kind of their fingers out there internationally, which is a lot. It's most of the large companies out there in the S&P 500, and it's kind of most publicly traded companies in general. Now, just because a correlation existed in the past doesn't mean it has to now. Like the guys were talking about how crypto is ripping now. Well, crypto's moving, and the dollar just took a little bit of a downtick. So is that related? I think so. So I think if we want crypto to move back up, I think if we want equities to get stronger again, if we want some of these commodities to kind of settle down, we also need the dollar to settle down. And around this $100 area seems like a very good place to do it. So ideally, if anyone knows anyone at Barron's, if they could publish like a really bullish article on the dollar and have that come down a little bit, I think that would really help us out.
That'll probably come at 101 or 150 cents before we actually get the pullback. But I mean, it makes a lot of sense. And if you zoom out to what happened back in 2022 versus what's happening with the overall equity market today, I mean, a lot of correlations in that sense. However, as we've discussed going back to the end of last year, there's other factors coming into play here, obviously. On a global stage, there's other U.S.-based factors coming into play here. Uncertainty, across the board in a midterm election year as well.
Well, yeah, and I think the dollar rising is the perfect metric of that uncertainty, because we talk about how in bull markets there's rotation. So, you sell your NVIDIA and you have a whole bunch of money, but you're really bullish on the market, and you go buy some Micron. And then, that makes a bunch of money, and you sell that and you go buy something else. And this rotation continues to kind of push stocks higher in the long run. If you are worried, you sell the stock and you're essentially buying dollars in a way, right? You're just moving it into dollars and you're holding it there. So that is kind of showing us a little bit of worry, not just in the US, but also internationally, right? The dollar is still the place to go if you want to, buy treasuries, these really, really safe securities backed by the large military and the biggest economy and all of that. So there's going to be part of the whole international trade thing, but I think part of it is just that it is the safest asset that exists out there, is just the US dollar. So seeing that spike might mean that people are selling equities and selling risky assets and buying the dollar. And if we see the dollar come back, it might be because they're selling the dollar to then go buy these risky assets again.
We may need to see some more finalization as far as everything that's going on before that happens. But valid points, good things to watch going forward here. Michael Noss, have a great week.
Have a good week. Talk to you soon.
Some oil futures are moving down as we conclude Michael there. Yeah, so look, obviously, just sort of looking around, I mean, I didn't hear anything in terms of headlines there. I mean, yeah, Besant was making some comments, but Nothing that seems like it should have moved us in the spot there, but USO now down. You see oil futures down a little bit and continuing to go a little bit lower. So we'll keep an eye. Didn't really hear anything. And yeah, well, I think you were going to look at the dollar for a second. We'll keep our ear to the ground.
Yeah, I was just going to, I don't know. I got to put my earpiece in here. My earpiece wasn't charging over the weekend. But yeah, here's a dollar right now making a move back in. So breaking back through that $100 mark. We talked about how key that was last week. And it seems like right there, we've now bounced back through this $100 spot, which was about $100, and it's not dollars, just 100. Sorry, I shouldn't say dollars. 140 cents or so seems to have been that sort of top. We'll see if we can wind up holding. Trying to break back down right now. So U.S. dollar getting a little bit weaker as we go. And we said about what a strong U.S. dollar means to some of these multinationals. It should be better if it can get a little weaker, then we'll be able to repatriate that money back in. But there goes the U.S. dollar to the downside. It might have something to do with oil a little bit, as oil is trying to tick a little lower. Right now, 97 down to 96, 95.50 goes light sweet crude. So we're down to $96 right now and trying to go lower. So we'll see what the story is there. USO topped out around that 120. Or so, back into 118 right now. So yeah, there's 120. So we can have a look at that. We looked at that on Friday. We got to 121 and then made the move, closing near the highs on Friday as well. So as Trump looks to get some of the Strait of Hormuz open back up again and looking for support from other countries, we'll see if they can get that, and that would cause oil obviously to go to the downside. So if we can get CL and some more, positive talk here about some support for, the Strait remaining. It's remaining closed now, but if we can get that open, then maybe that'll help out the price of oil and back to the downside, of course. It's pretty expensive right now, 160. I don't know what it was like in Florida there, but 160 something a liter right now. And we already said it's like 3 liters to a gallon. So then you got to, price it up into the U.S.
I wasn't even paying attention.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, if you're not.
Yeah, like we got like a hybrid rental, and it's like,
the thing
was
okay for that. Oh,
yeah, we barely even used a quarter.
Yeah.
On it though, and some people are asking about. Apparently, Brent made some comments. So it looks like U.S. allowing Iranian oil tankers through the Strait.
Oh, okay.
Allowing oil tankers to pass through the Strait of Hormuz to help maintain global supply. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said Monday. He's speaking to CNBC. So that would be at least the reason why you're seeing oil futures head back into the downside. So it makes a lot of sense there for sure. And someone asked me in the chat, I was like, how was the TSA? It's the checkpoints, because apparently they're not, I don't know, there's some issue with the TSA.
I think it's just, there's like the
lineups
working as much.
Yeah, the lineups were longer, but it wasn't that bad. But again, look, man, I flew out of Tampa, so maybe not the best example. I understand that there are probably going to be some delays. I don't know how that's going to affect the airline stocks, but any weakness that you would have in the airlines, I would suppose, over that issue could be hopefully offset by some weakness in the oil market futures today. So I think that could be a little bit of an offset, because that could be a spike for them in one way while they get dragged down a little bit in the other. So it'll be interesting to watch. But I think the big thing would be this oil futures heading back into the downside. Got to watch out for. And keep your ear to the ground. Like, we're always going to be listening. But realistically, most of the volatility is probably going to be in this space. Handful of tech names and crypto is going to be out there as well. And it's not that big of a drop that we're seeing overall. I was just looking at specifically Delta to see what some of the airlines were doing. Yeah, that TFSA headline doesn't really seem to matter. Like, they're up a point and a half, and with oil futures weak. I don't wonder, and this is not to think contrarian to that TSA story, but you've been kind of downtrending in the airlines. You made a bit of a base here. These could be an interesting little relief rally if we see enough weakness, in the oil futures here. So just maybe watch some of the airlines as well. Nothing crazy. I don't really see any volume or volatility. But if oil decides to pull back, this is one place you might be able to find some kind of a long. So again, keep your ear to the ground. I do like to have some of these on the radar. It'll be Delta. Maybe it can break through. We'll see. There isn't any pre-market volume on this. The chart looks like it could be a rounded bottom breakout for this week. But you'd have to sustain that move down in oil. So we'll keep that one on the back burner for now.
Yeah, looking like another good day. I'm gonna get that sticky note out right now, taking a picture of it, and it'll be out shortly. I do like oil. I like the oil short. I think we can get some talk here about this Hormuz and everything. So we'll wait to see if oil gets back up to 97 or so before we look to short it. So that's what we're doing right now. We're going over to Joe.
I think we got some upgrades
and downgrades. Let's go over to Joe.
Yes, sir. All right, guys, let's take a look at some of the analyst actions here this morning. We're going to kick things off with Adobe going from a buy to a hold, from Argus. You're down just a little bit here today. Nothing substantial considering how this stock has been trading as of late. Now, Qualcomm Seaport getting the downgrade as well, too, from a neutral to a sell and a price target of $100. You're up about a little bit less than 0.4%. ChargePoint also getting the downgrade, guys. $11 to $6 here by B. Riley, but you're positive 2.25. And then Robinhood getting somewhat of a substantial price cut here from $135 to $110 by Mizuho. You're still positive 2.3%. Now, I'm assuming that Robinhood, ChargePoint, and Qualcomm are somewhat moving with the overall market, with some of the larger names being in the positive this morning. Moving forward, we're going to kick things off with some upgrades. Upstart UPST up 3.4% roughly, with a price target of $43, but going from a neutral weight to a buy by BTIG. NEO also getting the nod as well, too, guys. Going from a hold to a buy. Price target of $4.80, increased to $6.80. Now, Circle, this has been on a substantial run as of late. Hold to a buy and a pretty big price increase. At $92 was that initial target, now getting raised to $136 by Clear Street. And then we have Alcoa as well, too, guys. Underweight to neutral, and then $50 was that initial price target, being increased to $68.
Spicy names over there. Neo's actually not doing that bad. I mean, it's at 6 bones, finally. Well, $6. I guess if I say 6 bones, you might think it's at 600. So still, it's been not that bad. And last week, while I wasn't here, it kind of consolidated higher. It held that 5. You're getting a breakout, no questions asked, on NIO. Whether or not it's going to be able to get through and do anything today on just what? Like an upgrade is going to be the catalyst here for NEO? That's not bad, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. I want to see that big volume that NEO's able to put in. If you can get the volume coming in through a $6 break, this is another stock that probably not that exciting, been left for dead for a while. Some of the Chinese names have been in a lot of trouble recently, but it's a nice little stair step up for NIO. You could see a little continuation today. I just don't know what the volume catalyst is going to be for this. But if you looked at it last week, you had good support at 550, and the top was pretty clearly early 580. That could be a nice spot to look for a dip and rip. So NEO, not a bad looking one on that list. If you're looking at the daily chart, you usually give them a lot of crap, let's just say, and it's looking a heck of a lot better recently.
Yeah, we're hearing some stuff now, China and U.S., hope gets into these trade negotiations going again. So, FXI has been beat up for a couple weeks now, for sure, as we broke through that $38 mark and trying to make that bottom near 35.50. Looks like it might have done that. So we could hope for a push up today in FXI. So another look here, we talked about the U.S. dollar a little bit. We could see if some China strength winds up happening there, breaking through $37. Might be on watch there today. Here's the imbalance locator. It's nothing really so far. I don't even know what NAT is. SOXL's on there. QBT has some quantum names. Fubo, Big Bear AI is up on here as well today. But very, very light to begin with. So nothing really going on here as far as that trade is concerned today. And not much going on right now either. So just basically watching what oil's doing now to see if that can settle itself down. I mean, a nice little move down there with a little bit of volume. So you're down 3% on oil today. So this is where I'm going to be looking for the one short that I'm thinking about. So far, so good on that little look. And then, yeah, some of the Chinese names. We had some stories today from Alibaba as well. We'll get to that. They're bouncing a little higher. They're up 3% today, so we can get to that story. And they may have turned itself around as well. Alibaba really downside. I mean, there's been a lot of push in a lot of these names, man. And like I was saying, I feel like tech is about to get going here as so many of those other names just have been so good, man. Like the industrials, the healthcare, all this kind of stuff. I feel like it's time we switch back over into a little bit of financials and back into some of these high-tech names. So that would be a JP, that would be an Alibaba. And then for the financials, you can even just look at XLF. I mean, some of these, an ETF is a decent name to trade on the day if you're just looking to like maybe buy and hold and get out near the end, and the volatility will be there and you don't want to get too stopped out. But I like to move up 1% there. Look at XLF. I mean, it's just no bump at all in this name. So, waiting to see if the banks can get going, man. We still have that financing problem with some of that credit going through on some of these smaller names. What one of these software systems will fail, who knows? Blue owls to the downside. SoFi, as we worry about some of the capital requirements necessary for some of these loans. I mean, will these go under, and are they overcapitalized to some of the software plays in there as well in private equity? So SoFi right here trying to hold 1750. Looks like we're doing okay upside. So yeah, sticky notes coming. Everyone's asking for it. I'm working on it. I really like NVIDIA though, man. I mean, I think that's going to be a play for today.
It's caught a bit of a bid there too.
Oh yeah, there it goes right there, 183.50. So
that's low. Can be a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's risk on, man. We started the day saying that, and I think that there it goes. ES now up 1%. ES up 1%. Nasdaq now up 1.2%. So yeah, starting to get going here as this market gets closer and closer to open. Thanks for Michael Nasser talking about the weak U.S. dollar now turning into some strength. I thought Microsoft was on the cover of a Barron's magazine this weekend as well, so maybe it's time to buy Microsoft, although that's still below $400. Like, I think that was the whole point of the article. I'll have to get into it, but 400, 410 looks like that was the stopping point there. Back down in again. So Microsoft probably one of the best valuations it's been at for a while. Microsoft right here in that 30 PE range as well. So you might want to look to pick something up. I think there's a good tech bounce coming. So
well, especially with the Qs bouncing off the 200 period, it was rightfully pointed out by a few in the chat, right? Like, what have we been doing in the overall market, and especially in the tech space? We've shown you the chart of NVIDIA, we showed you the chart of Tesla. You've had this like range bound, but range bound with good support, and we're bouncing off it again here at about 590. So I like the fact that we're doing this, and I like the long setup in here. Now, can you punch through first resistance? That'll be the real story. But as long as we hold on to that support that got put in there to end Friday, like, it's such a weird one because, last week on Monday, this is where you were. You bounce the same spot Friday. You zoom it out a little bit further. You go the week before that, it was the same low on the Qs, right? It's just been 590, 590, 590, and we keep bouncing, and every single bounce has made it back to this top around 610. So why shouldn't we be headed there? Until proven otherwise, I just feel like, why aren't we headed right back to retest the top end of that range? So that bodes well for some of the tech stocks. Although I would stand out, one that stood out when I was going over some of the charts, at least in the other direction, was Apple. For not a very good Friday, Thursday or Friday for Apple. Like, some of that support that was there and not there or hasn't been there for Apple. So that's one to watch. It's got some room if it sees the 200 period moving average this week. That 245 spot, that could be a nice spot to maybe snatch it up. But yeah, not participating as nicely as some of its other brethren for now.
All right, just reading a couple of other things here on this. It was a Fox report, actually, initially. Press Secretary Leavitt saying the China-U.S. meeting could potentially be delayed, as we were discussing at 8 o'clock when we came on this morning. Lots of reports floating around still on that. And she basically said, if that is the case, they'd be excited and happy to provide revised dates as soon as they are available for when that meeting will take place. But there was nothing concrete, really, that came from that. We did get some CPI data there as well. Canadian CPI data that was basically in line with expectations. Happy 6-year anniversary, meanwhile, for the third worst day for the S&P 500. It was to this day, it was March 16th, 6 years ago.
Oh boy.
My monitor's not working. I would show this. The S&P 500 had its third worst day ever. JP Morgan, some of the financials down 20% on that day. It was 18.9% for JPM. I mean, 20 plus for some of the other financials.
It's always the worst times when you can't hit the buy button that
course.
are the best times.
If looking back.
And looking back, of course, hindsight's always 20/20. I'll build on your point though about Canadian CPI. We also got a really bad jobs number last week. We shed 80,000 jobs, and the prediction was we were going to add between 10 to 20,000 jobs. So I was doing a little bit of research out on the weekend. A lot of analysts, thankfully, they think it's a one-off occurrence. They're actually looking for more jobs into the summer. But when you look at the job losses, Brendo, they absolutely were not concentrated. It was broad-based, and it was all mostly full-time jobs. You couldn't blame it on seasonality. You couldn't blame it on part-times, coming in and out of the market. No, it was manufacturing. It was service. It was in multiple different areas. 80,000 jobs. The Americans lost 90,000 and were 10% of their size.
Yeah.
Gives you an idea how much of an outsized number that was.
Substantially more. I saw on that as well, it was youth unemployment reached 14.5% in this
Highest
country.
since the GFC.
Not good. NVIDIA back down a little bit here, just hearing, but we are still holding on to gains. It's worth noting on these types of events, we can and typically do get some sort of early release on some of the announcements that will come in the press conference itself or the announcement itself. So just stand by for that. It's West Coast time, so could be a little bit later on. Again, 2 p.m. Eastern is the keynote today, so it could be even around the open or 10 a.m.
And you made the point to me earlier off camera that he had like the who's who.
Last time around, yeah.
Exactly, of the tech leaders. He had Altman there, he had, I think, Michael Dell, many different others. I wonder if that same, kind of move this time around. We've seen some tensions between the likes of OpenAI and Jensen, right? Jensen saying maybe OpenAI doesn't have the best model, OpenAI countering saying maybe Jensen doesn't have the best CPUs. So the relationships, I think, have evolved and changed in a way that they weren't really last year. So I'd like to see what, kind of heavy hitters there are today.
I mean, he was like straight up giving shout outs when he was on stage last time around of all these people in the crowd. So yeah, NVIDIA guys, chips still strong.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about this all morning. I mean, I think, and it's kind of strange because if all we're doing is talking about how strong NVIDIA is, maybe today it actually comes back in a little bit here. Could it be a sell the news type of situation here? I mean, we've been sort of bidding NVIDIA up over the last week or so. I mean, it tried to get going. Thank you, Randy. There it is right there. Thank you, Mr. Randy.
Appreciate it, brother.
Coming through there. You always ask Randy for a coffee. He always says maybe, but always comes through. So we appreciate that one there, Randy.
He's asking how Florida was.
You got to get them. Where's the mic at?
Warm, Randy. That's how Florida was.
Yes, it was very, very warm. And,
30 degrees. The beach was amazing.
There we go.
30?
Yes. Oh. Most days. Like
bringing you back?
The coldest day was like 25
brought lots back.
Celsius. It was awesome, man. There was like we had a little bit of rain. So like we left like the game in Clearwater. We watched them in Philly, and that was on the Thursday. Like that game ended up getting rained out. It was like a 15-minute like torrential downpour, then it just stopped. But the weather was fantastic, man. We were at the beach 3 times.
Oh, you're killing me.
Good times, brother.
Yeah. Good times, man. That's what we got to go to Florida for. My cousin got back from Florida and says he's going to move there, so I might be having my hands in on a property at some point there for Florida. So,
nice.
looking like a nice opportunity to get in there. What I was going to say about NVIDIA was just like, maybe it's maybe this just gives us a reason to sell the top end here. I mean, if we can get into 186, I'm looking long, don't get me wrong, but if we don't dip, I mean, we might not dip, and then if it's not going to be till 2 p.m., and there's always, I mean, I remember when Meta had some events, they released some, this was a while ago, I think it was their glasses, and there's just different events where, the stock gets faded off of that. So I know that we're all sort of geared up for, a big NVIDIA day here, but potentially it's not as big as we think. And, you're still underneath that 50-period moving average. So that's 186 to 186.50. The sticky note's out and I have NVIDIA as a long. So I'm not thinking that we're going short here, but maybe there is something at 187 if we can get up to that level. Now you're only 184 right now, but looking at what we've done last week, that top was right there, 187. So if we do run early and we miss the bid, right? I mean, it's just, or you can get on board right now. I just would rather wait for a pullback into like 182.50 or so. But for right now, if we do get going, maybe this is a sell the news type of event. So I just want to give that side of it as well. It's very possible that it's just everything that's announced are just pieces of what we sort of expect, right? I mean, we're expecting NVIDIA to announce, new technology and how we expect to have that, affect different SaaS models or, help out with this robotics angle or whatever he's going to be talking about. I think we're expecting good things. And, just look at the other side of it. What if it's not anything revolutionary? Potentially NVIDIA falls down off of this as well. So I like the long. I'm waiting for 182. If that can come in, maybe VWAP's now 182.50, so that's what I was sort of thinking about into this area. So I still do like the long, but hey, sometimes when you're looking left, right comes. And so I just want to say, that is a chance for a little bit of a disappointing GTC conference.
They throw the change up instead of the
yeah. Who knows what you're expecting, but I don't know. It's potential it goes lower. I mean, look at AMD and things like that, right? If those start to fall down, then that might be the place to look instead of NVIDIA.
I'm feeling more worried about that in the afternoon than I guess now.
Brendan said 2 p.m., right?
Yeah, so I feel like, yeah, maybe, look, I think a lot of times when we have events in the afternoon, we think about it in that regard. I saw someone in the chat just saying, you guys never talk about Intel. That's not true. I'm pretty sure there isn't a day that we don't talk about Intel. But it is worth mentioning, like when we look at things like NVIDIA up 1.8% today, and it is all about NVIDIA, there's a bunch of other chip names that are actually moving more. Intel's up double. Now NVIDIA has a stake in Intel. The government has a stake in Intel. That certainly helped them for a while, and in terms of momentum. But I think today it looks relatively strong. I like the fact that it's more than double, or just a little bit more than double its cohorts, and the fact that it's almost 4 times up what the Nasdaq is up, because when volatility is in this name, it's going to be good. And I think a lot of the theme for me is going to be what was resistance that's got support, and very, very obviously, like have a look at when I left last week, it was a 46.5 level that was a top. Right? And then you looked at last week, okay, broke away from that, held it as support, then resistance. All right, let's go back to the well and just look at that 46.5 for a long. So that one made the note today because you got to be looking at tech. If you're not looking at oil tech and, well, I mean, specifically more like chips in the tech space and a little bit in the crypto names, that's where most of the moves are today. So that's where the eyeballs have to be. That puts Intel firmly on that list. You are still seeing, by the way, just to go over, because someone mentioned in the chat, just a little bit of that weakness in oil continuing. There's a bit of a bounce, but that's still looking pretty red on the old 15-minute, down 2% here is U.S. So that is something to keep track of, and it's boded well for the overall market. So keep an eye on some of the travel names, and maybe they can see a bit of a bounce with some of that weakness in oil as well. So yeah, almost 9 o'clock. I know we're going to get into our rundown. We'll talk about the futures as well. But you got to like what's happened in the Q so far here today, and that means arrows up for now. Boys.
I was just doing some measuring on the crude oil futures chart. It's still up 50%, even as we sit here this morning since all of this began. So. I mean, the daily chart candle coming in hard right now, so looking like a bit of a reversal. We're almost, taking out all of what happened on Friday at this point, which will be good for prices overall, but still, I mean, 50%.
What have you seen the highest prices at the gas stations this past weekend?
I've been trying not to look. I mean,
did you see a 7 print or no?
Not yet. 168, 169.
Yeah, I saw on the precipice of 170, 169.5, and things like that. It's just a matter of time, I feel, until we're going to see the 170.
Yeah.
Do you recall how high we got during the invasion of Ukraine? I think we got into the 70s, didn't we? 70s or 80s?
I can't remember. Probably.
It was quite high.
It feels like a while ago. But let's have a look at the futures here, and then we'll start talking about individual names.
All right, guys, let's have a look at the SPY, see where we closed out on Friday. We're still on that downtrend. Really haven't broken that, substantially lower than where we closed out Thursday. 662 1/3. That is where we closed out on the SPY. We're putting in that obvious lower high, lower low channel after being consolidated for a number of weeks. So we're going to say again, Friday's closing print as a first level of support, 662 1/3. We're at 668.50 or 05 right now. So we're going to say 670 as that first level of resistance. If we clear that that $10 area. We're looking definitely at that 672, where we used 672 as an area of support for a couple of days. Let's see if that holds.
All right, if you haven't done so yet, super easy. Below us in the description of this video, there's a link to get that absolutely free every single morning right to your inbox. All you need is your email. Has everything on it that you need to know in the pre-market, and then you come join us at 8 o'clock. It's one of those weeks where we have, individual news, we have macro news, we have the Fed, we have everything that's going on in the Middle East. So kind of all over the place, which could maybe kind of mute the reaction here to what we get this afternoon as far as NVIDIA specifically goes. But I mean, let's see. Who knows? 2 p.m. GTC.
Yeah, aside from the pageantry and, maybe he's got a robot or two on there on the stage, there's going to be cool products. And so as a tech kind of observer, I'm excited. As an investor, I'm looking for something specific. And I'm looking for CPUs and I'm looking for inference, because those are the two things that are in vogue right now. So we're, if you listen to what analysts are saying, investors are expecting major announcements on AI chips, data infrastructure, and specifically software. They also want to hear, and they want to hear NVIDIA outline the next generation chip roadmap, including updates tied to Rubin and Feynman architectures. NVIDIA's dominance has historically come from AI training workloads. Now we know the shift now is to inference. That is the next growth phase, where trade models execute real-time tasks through these AI agents interacting with software applications. Analysts are expecting a surge in AI agents performing automated tasks, and inference workloads can run on a wider variety of chips and increasing competitive pressure on NVIDIA. And some of those competitive pressures may eat into that 90% or so market share that they have in inference and training today. Brando, major customers like OpenAI, Meta, they're all designing their application-specific integrated circuits, custom silicon, whether you're looking at Google's TPU, Amazon's Trainium. I think Microsoft has their own as well. And analysts are starting to predict that NVIDIA's share could begin to erode around 2027 unless they take a very aggressive approach to this custom silicon.
And do we hear more about, remember last week we were talking about NVIDIA's own agentic platform that's on its way as well. The weekly chart, guys, still looking very constructive though, but I mean, we'll see what happens today.
It's still a constructive chart, and it's always constructive to go over NVIDIA. And in fact, in doing so, this segment is going to be brought to you by NextGel. And ticker NXGL over on the Nasdaq, everybody. NextGel develops advanced hydrogel technology used across medical, healthcare, and consumer applications. Their high water content gels are designed for comfort, performance, and next-generation healthcare products. To learn more about NextGel and their technology, you can visit nextgel.com. Again, NXGL over on the Nasdaq. I want to thank them for sponsoring this portion of the show where, hey, look, at the end of the day, we always talk about NVIDIA. And I get it. It's exciting. It's up a couple of points today. We've got the event at 2. We've discussed some of the other names that could run. You mentioned Lamar Vell. We were just talking about Intel earlier. But when you consider that the big dog is still cheap, relatively speaking, they got 90% market share in inference. And while that may not continue to be as high as it probably will, look, at the end of the day, that is going to come down. But if a rising tide lifts all ships and the pie is continuing to grow, it's perfectly fine that the competitors can come in. I understand you're going to get some drawback because you've got big boys designing their own chips, and yes, there's certainly some headwinds out there for NVIDIA. But if we just sit here and think about how long this has been consolidating in this range, proof's in the pudding. To me, until it gets into this 186 to 187, it's like look long into that level. The afternoon's a totally different story. It's got some support down here at prior resistance at 181.5. It's very similar to how I'm going to feel about that Intel chart. Like you had clear resistance on, in that case, Thursday and Friday. In this case, it'll just be on Friday when it broke down, and the week's support was just chilling there at 181.5. And now that's those resistance on Friday. I think it's a long into that. And if we get to 187, then you look for the fade up at that price. But it's been a nice little consolidative level here for NVIDIA. Why not test the tops, I think, at least before 2 o'clock?
Yeah, I mean, it's like what Sharif was saying. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what comes on stage with Jensen there, but it's not until the afternoon. So I was just thinking, like, you know, hopefully the market does start to drift higher, but we've seen NVIDIA pull back. I mean, it was a big pullback there on Friday. I mean, what? Everybody knew the conference was happening today. So why are we pulling back on Friday, right? Just to go up today? I mean, I think there's an opportunity for the same to pull back in as well. I mean, every day we've hit some highs right around the morning time and then pulled back. This was 10:30. This was 9:30, almost right away off the open. And then we got going around by noon, still ending up to the downside on Thursday. Then we start off Friday, you know, at its highs and don't really ever get back there again. So I am bullish for NVIDIA with today's talk, but I also want not to forget that, you know, the last couple of days we had reached the highs and gotten faded off of all of those as well. So it's not like we've caught crazy bids, you know. In the middle of the day when there's been something changing with Strait of Hormuz or, you know, the market gets going, NVIDIA can go. It doesn't necessarily mean it's single stock news or anything like that. Today we get that, and hopefully, you know, this helps give a little bit more push to the idea that NVIDIA is the name that everybody wants to hold in the AI space. But you know, looking at this, looking at a chart of Micron or SNDK or some of these other names that continue to blast higher, NVIDIA still is leaving a lot for your investors to wait for. And it's been a pretty sad trade for a year. NVDA, and I just don't see it getting super excited all of a sudden right now. I'm trying to go long. The long that I wrote down there on the note today is 182. So if we can come back into this area, then I think we can dip by. I mean, I'm looking at the 200 period moving average on the 1 minute chart, so that's going to be something that I'm looking for. So dip by is fine, but I don't think I'm ready to buy anything up here on NVIDIA. I'm excited for it, fine. I'm just not sure what this market wants to do today. I think it's a risk on. But this is already up 2%, beating the market right now. The Nasdaq's only up 1%. So will this continue to fly? Yeah, probably. I'm not willing to buy it up here. So if we do get a move back, it might even be VWAP, which is 183. You know, but let's not sit and get run over. Let's wait to see if there is some sort of a development area here, right? Like this was the short on Friday. It gave it to you 3 times. You know, you didn't have to get it this time. That time, it gave you it the 3rd time. Not to say that, you know, this pattern is going to repeat itself again, but it does give you opportunities to get in. You know, let it baseline and tell you what it wants to do. And for right now, it looks like it wants to go higher, right? Like here's the base, there's the move higher. So I'd like this thing to open up then around 945 if we can get a feel for what we want to do. I mean, if it comes down here early, then I'll buy 182, fine. But if it just hangs around, then I think we want to favor the long. So let's wait to see if we get like a little bit of a, you know, hangout here for NVIDIA where we can start to buy some dips. Or, you know, let it rip and then hover and then we can, you know, buy the next breakout. So for right now, I think NVIDIA's cooking up pretty good, up 2%, and I think it's worth leaving. I mean, 2% on NVIDIA's a few, you know, $100 billion. So,
it's not chump change.
Yeah, it's maybe not that much, but it's pretty big. So we'll wait to see if NVIDIA gets a kick here as the market opens up. I bet you it does and then fades and then gets going eventually.
Quickly on Apple, it's back to the upside, but not really doing a heck of a lot here so far this morning. Apple just announcing AirPods Max 2, starting at $549. Some features include adaptive audio, conversational awareness, voice isolation, live translation, all coming to AirPods Max for the very first time, starting at $549. I think it was December, I want to say, or maybe January.
Those are the
over-the-ear.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
over-ear ones. It was like the beginning of the year, the end of last year. I thought these were delayed until 2027. I remember talking about them saying that they were going to delay these out to 2027, but I guess not. Apple didn't do anything on that, but worth a note.
What I'm definitely waiting for is the AirPods.
Yeah.
We've been talking more about those fisheye lenses being on the end of them for visual AI. So those are the ones I'm really pumped for.
Right.
If they actually come out.
Yeah, these are the big over-the-ear ones. Crypto, IBIT just actually took out pre-market highs here, so we're starting to gain some momentum back to the upside. I mean, Michael Noss was touching on the dollar off a little bit from the highs. Crypto back to the upside a little bit here.
Yeah, it's inversely correlated, exactly. Yeah. Knocking the door, 74,000. This article is written when we were kind of trading right at that $74,000 area before falling into that zone 4 times in the past 2 weeks and then pulling back below it. It was trading about 74,000, let's say up a little bit less than 3% in 24 hours, and then 9.7% on the week, signaling improving momentum. Altcoins as well joined the rally. ETH was up 7.7%. Solana gaining about 5.5%. Broad-based participation here across the major tokens is kind of suggestive of a risk appetite rather than, you know, just a crypto-specific move. So we'll have to keep an eye on equities, of course, to see if that's true. But the short squeeze here, this is always interesting. So data from CoinGlass showed about $344 million in total liquidations across nearly 92,000 traders in the past 24 hours. Short positions accounted for 285 million of that 344 million that was liquidated. So far more liquidations for shorts than for longs. ETH saw the largest short wipeout at about $128 million, followed by Bitcoin at a little bit more than 124. Solana also saw about 18.5. Ethereum has outperformed Bitcoin lately as well. So if you're looking for some more volatility and possible upside, ETH one to look at.
It's worth noting CRM just popping up here $3 or so on a bit of a spike, executing 103 million share purchase buyback under their current buyback program of 25 billion total. So CRM with a bit of a move. There's not much volume though, guys.
Hey, CRM needs all the help it can get, so that's not going to hurt them.
I did hear that
whatsoever. But looking at Bitcoin, this could be the breakout that we're looking for. Like, it's gone here several times. Here, start with the daily chart. Like, we've already tested up to 74,000 level several times. This time off a couple of higher lows. So you're getting the same top in higher lows, which does usually set up a breakout pattern. So if we take that top out, it's like 42.25 over there on IBIT. But even like a dip into 72.5, 73 area would give you a consolidation for a bit of a breakout. So IBIT looks pretty constructive here. I think it's into that 41 area that I'm going to like the longs. In terms of breaking out last week's highs, you've pretty much already done that. Like, we're right there. So I think you go dip first. But don't lose sight of what Sharif mentioned about how it really hasn't been Bitcoin that's led the way. ETH has moved more. When I look over at BMNR in particular, this is up 8.5%. It's very likely on a bullish day in the crypto space, this is probably going to perform. I would expect it performs better than most instruments that you're going to be looking at. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a breakout set up or like an obvious key price that I want to play off of. So while I can say, oh yeah, I like that 41 long down there in IBIT if we catch that kind of a dip buy. Don't really have that kind of a level for BMNR if it doesn't end up taking out this top and you don't get the breakaway trade. But it's been sitting here for a while, long while consolidating on BMNR. Just needs to actually take out that high, and there's room to the 50 period. I could see this one leading the way if Bitcoin can get through that 74,000 this morning. It's already tested once. If we can break away from this, I think a lot of things are going to run, but keep an eye on BMNR.
Yeah, we have IBIT written down here as one of the top plays today, $41 long. We'll see if we can get back into that. We also have the 200 period, so you can go have a quick look at the sticky note. It's now out. You could just check out right here, 41. So that was going to be the 200 period moving average. If we dip down into that level, I think it's a buy. So I think we're getting close enough to doing that right there. It's your 50 period moving average as well. And then looking at, we closed lower on Friday. That's fine. But it's just this little area might be something. And remember, the 41 mark is not going to mean anything because it's not dollar adjusted to the price of Bitcoin. It's just going to run with Bitcoin. So if it comes back in, we want to play some of these kind of technical areas, right? So the 200 period on the 1 minute is it's now 41.30. So maybe that's our first little dip buy opportunity if it comes in. And then I really do want to load it up, I think, at 41. And if we drop below 40, this like sort of 40.80 or so area, then we can get out. But I think 20 cents or so has been great. We actually traded Bitcoin quite well over the last little while. So let's see if we can do it again here today. IBIT. I love that space. We'll see if it can get going. I don't have all the altcoins up, but this XRP has been wild. Like, this is the mover for Ripple, so XRP, and it's just, I just wanted to show everybody, like, this is something that absolutely, like, just rocks when it goes. And you're kind of like, I don't know, you tell me what this looks like right over here, right? I mean, if you think that the Bitcoin and the space is about to go, I mean, get some XRP in your life, because this little break right around here, $5, maybe moonshots this thing a little bit. So we can wait to see if that gets going. Something to think about. You know, $4 has been holding. If you like the space, this could be your opportunity right now to get a 2, 3, 4 bagger on. If it starts to go back up to the upside, you'll only need like Bitcoin to go up like 10 grand or so, and this thing will absolutely moon. So I think that there's a lot of opportunity here with XXRP. So take a look at that one, man, and maybe there's something there. It's already up 10% today. We'll see if it holds that $4 mark. XXRP. I like the stock, I like the space, and I think it goes higher.
Let's go on to energy. Oil back in focus here this morning, back downside right now. We're pushing 4% off the highs from where futures opened. Oil futures anyway. Some of the individual producers following suit. XOM has gone red, CVX has gone red, DVN as well. All downside here with futures.
Yeah, hopefully some of the discussions that we're seeing this morning, Secretary Besant saying,
You're muted.
Sorry. Hopefully some of the commentary from Secretary Besant today, which looked to maybe alleviate some of the concerns, helps push prices down. But over the weekend, it was more of the same. President Donald Trump basically trying to push allied nations to help secure the tanker routes through the Strait of Hormuz. There were reports that a multinational effort to escort the tankers kind of may be announced soon, though officials kind of still debating whether the operation would begin during or after the conflict. And then there were a little bit of escalations as well, Brendo, with the U.S. conducting strikes on the Iranian military targets at the Kharag Island. That's the country's most important oil export hub. President Trump said the attacks targeted military assets only, but he did warn the U.S. could strike Iran's oil infrastructure if tanker attacks continue. And that Kharag Island, I think you mentioned it at the top there, that accounts for about 90% of Iran's oil exports, making it obviously very critical.
Which caused that initial move for futures. But as we said, with some of these recent headlines, the other direction coming into play now, going to be a headline-driven market, guys, over the next coming days.
Yeah, which is, that's good because it means you're in the right spot. We'll have all the headlines for you as they come on through, and we will see, look, you're going to see some yo-yo action. It might not be, like, Nasdaq's not going to go straight up. You're not going to see oil prices just effectively head straight down without any kind of a bounce. I have Oxy and CVX on the mind. Now, before we got that headline and saw that move down in energy, like I was looking at Chevron thinking, hey, we could find a little bit of strength in that. And maybe you do off of the 195. That's resistance turning into support. But the other side of that coin is I'm looking over at Occidental in particular and note the difference, right? Like that CVX chart was showing you resistance and then to a Friday support, and you were not even close to that support level. Oxy's right there. So like we're already bouncing very close to that 57, which was breakout Thursday, support Friday, resistance before I left at that 57 mark. It was like a post-earnings like kind of wall that it just couldn't really push through, right? Like you were able to gap, you got the 50 breakout, then you had the gap up, the rejected 57. So you lose 57, if oil futures continue down, that's a nice gap there on Oxy to be filled. But it's not one that I would want to just punch short at the open. I want to see us react off of the open with oil futures prices. If they continue the trend down, then this one under 57 would be the way that I would look to go. So a bit of a late entry based on what we've seen so far this morning with a little bit of weakness here. It's not really tons of continuation here. Like USO has actually bounced a little bit, and so you are seeing some nice consolidation. If we get a continuation down, Oxy at 57, that was already a big level coming into this. So if we break underneath that, I could see falling even further.
Yeah, I mean, I like the individual equities. You've seen XOM coming down a little bit here this morning as well. But yeah, here's oil. So move lower. I wrote down here that I feel like all this talk about the Strait of Hormuz and getting boats through there seems to be moving in the right direction, at least for now. And I think that's where oil is back down into this $95 mark. Will we ever see $100 oil again? Yeah, probably. I don't know if it's going to happen today, though. I don't see, a boost up here, a complete correction to go positive and then go up a couple percentage points from here. I mean, it's going to have to escalate, and I just don't see it right now. We have no idea. But all the talk has been sort of a de-escalation and getting, I mean, this is not de-escalation in Iran. This is just trying to talk about some nations getting behind letting some of these oil tankers go through. And if they do, then yeah, I wrote down here on USO 119.50, sort of the start of this move lower that we had just experienced about an hour ago. So this is like relatively new sort of movement here in USO. When this market opens up, man, I bet you it just rips right back up into this area. But just to give you guys these totals, because it's on the note today, between 119 here and 119.50, like this is a good spot for me to think about going short. So that's going to be what I'm going to be looking at right there on USO. And I just prefer to trade that than oil itself. You can trade the futures for oil. It's still on the J contract. It'll probably flip over midweek. So we'll have to look at that for next month. But yeah, I like this 119 area, 119.50. Goes all the way back to Friday. We didn't really get too much above this 120 mark. So if we can, you know, settle in and around here, I think this is a spot to start to look short. Like I wouldn't start looking short until we get to these levels. So that's kind of like what I'm thinking about right now. USO in and around 119 to 119.50 as a short, as it seems like more talks about going through the Strait of Hormuz. We have Trump talking with China a little bit. The Paris talks here happening. That should be good with Micron and so on and so forth, and the leaders there in, even if Macron's still involved, I don't even know, in France there. So, you know, get ready for just, I think, some more positivity about oil today, and that should create prices lower. But you know, ear to the ground. I mean, we'll have a Dara here, and if there's any sort of a story, again, you know, more bombs, unfortunately, and things like that, we know to maybe change our opinion on oil and potentially go long. But for right now, I feel like, you know, that 119, if we can get a bump up $2, maybe that's where we start to look.
Some more comments here saying if the Trump-Xi visit is delayed, it will not be due to any ask of the Chinese related to the Iran war. So Scott Besson speaking again, just heads up on the overall market. There was a note on Peloton. I brought up the chart, but it did absolutely nothing. This thing's 370, 380. I mean, we're 60 plus cents away from all-time lows on Peloton. They're going to make bikes and treadmills for gyms.
Nobody does that.
Shocking, yeah. What a strategy. Meta with some layoffs. Meta actually looking pretty good here today.
It's sad to report it in this way, but anytime you see especially large amount of layoffs, the stock does react, and it certainly did here up big to start the morning after reports came out that the company may cut more than 20% of its workforce as it ramps up spending on AI infrastructure. Sources indicated senior leaders have been asked to prepare plans for reductions, which could impact about 15,000 employees. So if we did the math here, they employed about 79,000 people as of December of last year. So if you do the math there, it would be larger than the restructuring efforts in 2022, which cut more than 11,000 jobs. And then we saw multiple different cuts in 2023 the dubbed year of efficiency. The potential layoffs come as Meta's dramatically increasing its AI-related capex, projected to be about 115 to 135 billion just this year. And the layoffs are tied to AI investments and are becoming more common across the tech sector. You've seen Block with Jack Dorsey, of course, trying to walk it back. Same thing with Amazon, mass layoffs, giving us a different reason for it. Don't really want to use some of the trigger words AI. But you know, let's be honest about it. According to Challenger Gray and Christmas data, a data collecting firm, AI-related restructuring has already contributed more than 12,000 job cuts in the U.S. this year. We'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, Meta is still holding up nicely here. The market coming in a little bit. Just be aware, again, Besson speaking right now, talking about these talks over in Europe, saying they were constructive, great stability in the Chinese relationship, detailed talks with China on new tariff authorities to come. There's also a note on OpenAI, kind of interesting. OpenAI apparently in advanced talks with TPG, Bain Capital, Advent, and Brookfield on a joint venture to distribute AI products. Private equity firms could commit up to $4 billion.
That's excellent.
To OpenAI.
I just want to mention as well, since we're not going to get to it on the rundown, Nebius, up big on a tie-up here with Meta. Meta's committing $27 billion over 5 years to access AI infrastructure from Nebius. So NBIS, guys, got to keep an eye out on this one. It's strong in the morning here.
Yeah, I mean, it's down $6 off the high right now, but still, yeah, huge move for NBIS too.
Unfortunately, it's doing its best, NBIS, to fill in the gap a little bit here. So I'd say disappointing start for Nebius. Maybe not all too surprising when you look at what it did at 130 bucks last time, which go back to last November, and you saw it reject 130 bucks there. So this morning looks like we're doing much of the same. You're really gonna have to let this one calm down. On the 15-minute, for the last hour, it's been filling in that gap. Maybe it wants to close it all the way before it can bounce again. Good headline for them. Would have been a little bit more exciting if we could have broken away from the 130 at the open, but it didn't happen. The ball doesn't lie, price doesn't lie in this particular case either. And as far as Meta goes, I mean, you're up 3%, and there's no question, like 3% is great. It's significantly more than what the market is doing, reducing headcount, going to be seen by the market as good if you're cutting costs and increasing efficiencies. No questions asked there. So yeah, it looks really good, but most of that 3% is just because of how bad it was on Friday, and we're we're pretty much where we were on Friday at the open. So I don't think you're celebrating Meta unless it can crank back above 635, maybe even the 640, and start breaking out from where it was on Thursday. I call this a wait for Meta in particular. I like where it's bouncing, and maybe you get back to the 50 period or something along those lines. It's just you're going to need to do some work to break this one out for real here on Meta. It's been languishing for quite some time. Like Apple, if you look at it on Thursday and Friday, out of that group, they were the worst, and they did not perform very well. And there hasn't been a heck of a lot outside of just looking at, hey, 3% is really, really nice, and we have a good story here. If you're not breaking through 35 or 40, then what are we doing here on Meta? You're still underneath some major resistance, and you're still trend down overall. So I think this is almost like a stay away on Meta. I think the chips and crypto are going to be a better place to be looking at so far. I do want to give a quick look at the imbalances, though. On a Monday morning, sometimes they're a little bit more interesting. Nothing too crazy. But NVIDIA already, we have a 300,000 sell imbalance there. I just saw that spike down. You got QBTS, a couple 100,000 to the buy side. BMNR, which should be in play because, let's be real, Bitcoin's moving around and ETH is moving around. That's 180,000 to the buy side. But even that small 300,000 sell on NVIDIA, and we just pushed back into 183 there. So it was at 183.5. That sell imbalance starting to bring us in a little bit here on NVDA. But Meta, not a huge, look, I get it, good story, 3% is fine, but if we can't get through 635, then that's going to be a pass for me. And maybe later this week it'll be a little bit stronger. Ooh, the claw is next with Baba.
All right, let's wrap things up here with, I mean, there's a couple other things worth talking about, I think, but some of these Chinese names looking great here. I mean, you can't see my screen still, but trust me, Alibaba looks great. Just actually did take out the high, reversing right now, but stand by for Baba Claw, something along those lines. There's no name for this thing yet, but I mean, something along those lines.
I think that's a good one. Yeah. Baba Claw, yeah, why not? More agentic AI stuff from Alibaba. They're preparing to launch a new enterprise-focused AI agent platform as soon as this week. It's going to run on their Qwen AI platform, and it's going to integrate with their internal services. We're talking about Alibaba shopping ecosystem and their FIC10 platform, Alipay, so multiple different uses. It's going to allow companies to deploy AI agents that can interact with agents built on OpenAI system. That's the first that I've seen where, when a Chinese company builds their platform to work in cohesion with an American tech platform. So interesting rollout there, and it reflects the growing trend, Brendo, with AI agents operating across multiple software systems. You and I were talking about this, about, Perplexity to Computer, OpenClaw, or whatever the other system you're using is. You can direct it to use whichever LLM you want. You want to go the Claude route, you want to go the OpenAI route. So more of this sort of multimodal, multi-platform integration.
Still crazy expensive and very costly on the credit side of things for any of those at this point. But if you zoom out a little bit, you got to go back 4 days or so. We're running into a little bit of resistance here, guys, but it looks great so far for Alibaba.
I mean, the thing about Alibaba is that you get a PE of 17 right now, and you get earnings before market on Thursday. So I wonder if today's going to be, I mean, obviously all these stories, I feel like Alibaba is just similar to the NVIDIAs, like to all these big tech names, and you never know what that next story is going to be. And it seems to always be positive when it's coming out of the mouth of, you know, the company themselves. And so that's really nice to see there. The problem with me is that this whole President Xi and President Trump and Iran and all that kind of stuff still hangs over a little bit of these Chinese names as we worry about, you know, every country sort of playing nice with each other now. And if that can happen, then I think, yeah, Alibaba right back up to the upside. I mean, what about when we get some sort of a trade agreement or more positivity surrounding the U.S.-China tensions as well? And if that can pick up, then I think on the positive side, I think Alibaba can go northbound here. I mean, the Chinese economy is just so huge. We already know about that. And I think just with the valuation, part of the valuation is the worry of the fact that where we're located. And it's a Chinese company. But yeah, I think with earnings coming out, I think they'll surprise to the upside. And you'll want to be long Alibaba. So I could see in the next couple of days people trying to buy this name upside here heading into Thursday. And it might be one of those things where by the time Thursday comes around, maybe this is $150 and then we either get to 160 or right back to where we are. So I could see Alibaba buying here into the open and for the rest of the day. And then we'll see what happens on Thursday morning as they report there. And, you know, one of the last major tech names to go before the next round of earnings comes. I think it's in three weeks already. So Alibaba Thursday morning, don't forget about that one.
It creeps up on you fast for sure. Yeah. With only about 30 seconds to go to the open, looks like Intel just spiked. Must have been an imbalance of some sort. No, I don't see it. So NEO is actually an imbalance of 500,000 to the buy side. You've got CPNG there, 400,000. QBTS is still a couple 100,000 shares. But Intel just spiked 1% or so, almost 5% now to the upside. Don't know if this will be a chase. I like 46.5. We're going to have to do some patient work there because as that went up, NVIDIA went down, and it's starting to pull back. So NVIDIA 181.5 is the spot I'm going to be looking for. As we have the opening bell start off this Monday. Right about now. Ring it.
All right, let's see what happens here. I mean, I'm waiting for NVIDIA to see if we can get to that 182. We just tipped down into 182.80, and here goes the move a little higher right now. S&P 500 opens up the day up 1%, Nasdaq up 1.1%. There goes NVIDIA right now, shooting right to the moon. As we had said, like, you know, definitely look out for something like this on NVDA, and there it goes right up to the top side. And then there's a fade again, so 184 right back to 183 again. Still waiting for that 182 to see if that can play at some point. I've been not doing too much. We could watch Bitcoin here as it's open 24 hours, so we don't have to worry too much about the price of IBIT there. And then let's just have a quick look to see what oil did right there off the open. Did money come in to do anything? It looks like, if anything, starting to sell off right now. The CL down 4%. Nasdaq still up 200 points there, but making a little bit of a fade back in there. VWAP's 47. I wrote down 46.50 basically at this 200 period moving average. So we'll see if the Nasdaq can tumble into some of those levels. But for right now, yeah, man, pretty flat trade to start the day. NVIDIA was still 183.50. So.
Yeah, so far pretty quiet. I mean, Intel just went 6% to the upside, so that actually stands out. SLV, silver went green, by the way. We didn't talk too much about the metals, but trending up all morning long has been SLV. It's now gone green. Watch out for that 74 on SLV for some resistance. Adara?
I want to let you guys know, because I don't believe this was mentioned before the bell, and to be fair, it came out like a couple minutes before the bell, but President Trump reportedly holding a White House news conference. It'll be ahead of his lunch meeting with the board of the Kennedy Center. That's going to be around 11:45 a.m. So this Trump press conference likely happening around 11:15. If I get more specific details on timing, I'll let you know. But this is a very last-minute addition. This was not on his public schedule, which was released this morning. So I'll post that on X. You guys can see an update to the public schedule. But yeah, it looks like President Trump to hold a White House news conference of indeterminate focus. We have no idea what this conference is going to be about. That'll be, again, sometime before 11:45 a.m. Back to you.
Focus, okay.
Thank you there.
Yeah, thanks, Dara. Yeah, we'll pay attention to that. I mean, that could be something, again, to do something with oil. We can have a quick little look to see again. We'll go to USO this time in case you guys are trading that. Yeah, days low right now for oil as we get a little lower. We wrote down the short, but it's never bumped up anywhere to get it to us. So right now, there goes USO downside here. As I wonder if there is going to be some thought that maybe President Trump does mention something about the Straits. And so if that does come through, you're already getting a downside tick here for for oil. So something to watch out for right there as well. Just my eyes are still on the same names here. As NVIDIA bounces now off 183, we said that we would wait to see if it gave us a little bit of an area of decision. And right now, still indecision in my opinion, but VWAP holding at 183. So dip down opportunity there present for NVIDIA. All right, just quick back look at, okay, Robinhood, SoFi not doing anything. Right there, we'll check on Robinhood's lower, it looks like, right? Yeah, Robinhood's making a move down temporarily as well into the 200-period moving average. I mean, I don't have anything on yet, and I'm fine with that.
Bitcoin's barely breaking.
Yeah, Bitcoin did finally start to move there a little bit, but yeah.
Look, we're finally above 42 on IBIT, so the 41 dip's not happening. We're above 74,000, so we've broken the 74,000 mark, and we're at 74.1 or so as we try to get going. If we can... Look, if it can close above 42 on this 3-minute candle, the second 3-minute, I might look for the long into VWAP for some continuation. BMNR did spike. It's now up 12%. So it looks like there's definitely more movement in like the treasury plays, let's just call them, looking a little bit better than Bitcoin in general. I'm not going to chase this Intel move. It's now up at 49 bucks. Let's see if it dips. 46.5 is such a long shot away. We'll have to look for a dip in the prior high on that bad boy. But yeah, eyeballs are going to be on crypto, at least for now. NVIDIA just broke through the high of the day. Yeah, we're starting to see some nice little strength here. Market not moving as much, but the chips are starting to go.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I was just looking at the same thing here. Like Robinhood's not making a move, so that could be something that we look at here. AMD potentially gonna sneeze. Yeah, that was a good one. All right, so 197.50, good move higher there for AMD. Unlike NVIDIA, this name kind of just got going right away and may have seen a top at 198. I don't know. But you are seeing NVIDIA starting to tick higher there, and we was waiting, and we had mentioned that there might have been a little bit of a bottom being formed there, but a little too early for me to, shoot the moon with that one. So we'll wait for NVIDIA there. Netflix, I was actually looking at Netflix today as well. Netflix, making moves lower here. We'll see if it wants to hold the bid, but, most of these names pretty strong, and Netflix pretty weak there today. So with the Nasdaq up 1.2%, we might be able to see, what's the ES doing, 1%? Might be able to see some sell-off here in Netflix. I'm not really sure where the weakness comes from them. I don't know if there's any Netflix, Oscars, buzz or anything.
I feel like they're like a flight to safety. They were like a...
Maybe. I was thinking like maybe they're being sold off because of they didn't have much representation at the Oscars maybe. But look, here goes Marvell.
Did they?
I mean, this name is what we've been talking about for a minute on the show, obviously. I called this sort of the best play for AI for me right now anyways, and I'm a shareholder, but there goes Marvell, up 4% right there as well. So nice little day kicking now for MRVL, up 4% now, trying to get a little higher, breaking through 91 and change. They still have, a little bit of a breaker spot coming, not until about 95, which is the high that we've gotten there off of their earnings. We'll see if Marvell wants to get going, but up another 4% there today, which is nice to see. Yeah, IBIT, it broke through 74,000, so not able to get anything into that trade. And yeah, I'm just kind of sitting on my hands now, waiting for something to throw, show up and throw itself into me, but nothing there. IBIT, look, VWAP possible take for sure. Now like 42's into play. That could be something for a long that's kicking out there. Oracle, they did have, their oopsies. They had their report a couple weeks ago, and we did have some trading last week. Yeah, we did have some trading through some key levels of 160. Now we're underneath it and trying to hold underneath right now. Oracle's still up that 2%, but again, looking for it to pull back. The Nasdaq's not pulling back at all. So there goes NVIDIA, man. It was always about trying to buy the dip for this name, but to just, you had to pull that trigger in the first 3 or 4 minutes there, and I just wasn't ready to do that. So upside goes NVIDIA. It looks like for maybe quite a while now, as there it goes. Watch out for that 185. This was sort of that top break of 185 that we had mentioned. I was looking for 187 to maybe get faded if and when we get to that level.
It's still got plenty of room before it gets there.
Yeah, so
NVIDIA.
Gotta wait for that one.
A couple of points at least. This Nasdaq's not really even doing much of anything for all the craziness. We just basically went like 50, 60 points to the upside, which is good, but it's nothing too insane. It's BMNR that's standing out for me a little bit more than Bitcoin, right? Like up this 12%. I'm just looking for that first available dip because VWAP sits here at 22.6 with some overnight levels as well. If we don't get the crack at that, then we'll have to look elsewhere. I do think that'll be an opportunity for us. Occidental, if I was thinking there could be some weakness in some of the oil names, Oxy bounced clean off that 57. So at least for now, gonna stick that one on the side burner. You still have trend down over here, USO, although catching a bit of a bid. But yeah, unfortunately, well, I mean, whatever. Like, not everyone wants to root for oil prices to go down, so I don't want to say unfortunately they're catching a bid. But Oxy would have liked that to hold underneath that 57, and it just didn't. Look, it actually ends up being a support level, that 57, more than anything else. So the short is going to have to wait on the oil futures. Well, the oil names I'm watching for now. Amazon?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, at least it's starting to go down. I was saying, there goes
Down.
Amazon. Yeah, it's not, the market's fine, but Amazon's red, and there it is, man. Amazon about three straight, more than that. Yeah, about 10 minutes of downside action there for Amazon, breaking through now 208. So, you know, the 200 period has now been violated on the 5-minute chart. That was about 209. Starting to get a little lower right now on Amazon, 208.25s or so is the push. But that might just be, like, I'm a little nervous about this name because of, you know, its sideways action pretty much all of last year as well, similarly to NVIDIA. But this name was broken down off of earnings and looks to get lower here, Amazon. So this would be something there. I ordered some shaving cream this morning. Then I got in shit from my wife for not using points that we had at Shoppers Drug Mart. But okay, 208 and quarters over there. She's like, when are we ever going to get rid of them? We have something like, honestly, like 800,000 PC points or something. It's crazy how many.
But the thing is, when you buy all that stuff from Amazon like, nowadays.
Yeah, you don't really get, I mean, you get points off your credit card, I guess. But,
yeah. So?
no points off.
That's just,
yeah. No, it's fine. We just have so many points.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know. I'm wondering about an Amazon short here, to be honest with you. I don't really want to go counter market now, but Amazon is bleeding pretty good. Underneath the 200, underneath VWAP, everything pointing a little lower. Amazon short could be something to think about here against VWAP potentially, but I kind of like the long, and I don't want to burn my bridges here because it also could be a long, right? I mean, here's Amazon coming right into some levels on Friday that we had held until we broke lower into the close. But 208 is an interesting level there for AMZN. Maybe we go short on a 208 break, and then we just see if that can get going. Why don't we try that? 208 break up to 208.50 on Amazon, maybe worth a little bit of something there. I'm going to try that. 208 break on Amazon. We'll see if we can get a little bit in on that one. But I don't love it, but we'll see if it wants to do something. Up to 208.50 or so on a break. Maybe even 208 and a quarter right now. See, I don't know. Maybe it's stronger than we think here, Amazon. What do you guys think in the chat about it?
I just saw in the chat some people asking, what about Palantir?
Oh.
Yeah, what about? Interesting that it's actually pulling back. It broke out early. So right at 9:30, you can see it break this 153 level, and now back underneath VWAP. And if you're looking for relative strength and weakness, or there's some weakness in here in Palantir if it holds underneath VWAP, but it's still up 1%. It's still putting in higher lows. I don't think that looks very distinct, at least for now. Yeah, IBIT's starting to get away here. It's not. We're not getting any dip into. We're not getting a dip into the prior high. We're not getting a dip into the volume-weighted average price. As much as I do not want to be chasing this, at some point, it's either get involved in the consolidation and give it to that 42 and forget about that line in the chart that just so happens to be VWAP. So, you know, I'm going to lean that way. 41 is going to be gone for now, but we'll play it in front of the pre-market highs and just look for the long, kind of where we sit right now here on IBIT. The other name we're looking at was Intel. Intel still 6.6% on Intel. Into a day when everyone's talking about NVIDIA and a bunch of other chip names, and these guys are up 6.5%. So this one actually could give us VWAP in a second.
All right, so we did get a little more short there on Amazon. Amazon here, fire in the booth. Amazon does light up a little bit here, and we're down to 208 again. We did break the 208 first. I took a little bit out at 208.25, and then it stopped there, and I was like, you know what? I said 208.50 in the first place, so let's just wait for 208.50. It's a little high. Like, I'm hoping VWAP and everything can correct itself. We're still pretty early here. I'm gonna get another bid if I can at 208 right now. We're 30 cents. There it is. We're 30 cents in the money. I'm gonna see if there it is, and we get a 50. Yes, let's go. All right, here we go. Now we're starting to spin it right now again. So let's see see if we can get this 207.75 next bid, and then we can hold on for a lower take here on Amazon. So it did stop us out of it didn't stop us out. We did get out of a little bit there once it broke through that high, and we were just looking at it right here like, oopsies, like that. And I was like, you know what, okay, we just got a 75, all right. Now we're starting to do it, all right. Daily goal met right there on one trade, so we're 1 for 1. But we did stop out of a little bit there and then pushed it right back in once it failed off that, because I was like, let's go to 208.50. The high was 208.40. So we'll try to take there. This is only 20 cents worth of risk. So, you know, we're in the money 40 right now. We just got a nice bid lower. Maybe I'll take another little bit here at 95. There it is. We take that out. We're into just under half. We have about 40% left of this trade. Let's see if Amazon will work itself out here into some lower levels, and you know where those levels might be. What about 207.50? You know, and then if that holds, that's sort of the close from Friday. We could see if, okay, here it's coming in really nicely right now. We'll see about that. So 207.50 or so, 207, let's just go to 207.60 flat. All right, we'll see if we get that, then maybe a little lower off of this push here for Amazon. So, you know, so far so good. We've got one trade on, and you've got IBIT. Okay, so IBIT and Amazon on board right now, one long, one short. Let's see what's happening. The Nasdaq's still pretty strong, right, up 1.1%. So. And then we'll wait, right? Adair, was it 10 o'clock you said for Trump?
Well,
no, it's very vague. It's sometime before his meeting with the Kennedy Center board, and that meeting is scheduled to happen at 11:45.
Okay.
So
11:45.
I would guess, I'm going to say sometime after 11, but before 11:45. But you also have to factor in that he's often late. So it could literally be any time around 11 is what I'm saying.
Okay.
yeah, I don't think we'll be too. Yeah, I don't think
we
we'll
won't
be
necessarily
looking
wait
at
for it then.
We're not waiting around for the president. When the president speaks, he speaks, and well, the market's going to move regardless of the president, one way or the other. But IBIT, okay, so two things are happening. One, IBIT's going to lose that 42. Oxy is potentially losing this volume-weighted average price. It's got a nice little trend from that 57 hold, but if it loses VWAP, not the VWAP, then I still want to look for that play into that low. IBIT, we took it long in front, but it looks like we could lose the volume weighted average price here. Just to zoom you out, it's a break over the prior high, but if we lose VWAP, then I'm jumping out of that trade. We want that long off of 41. We're $1 away. It's 2.5%, so the chances that we get down there are pretty low, but we're gonna take the shot here. If it bounces off VWAP, might be able to add to that one. But now Oxy is gonna be on my mind if it holds underneath that volume-weighted average price. Just looking for a little bit of weakness there. We saw that USO bounce, and if it doesn't sustain, this is the name that I'm looking for particularly, but it's still trying to hang on to the VWAP here. If it looks like it's gonna close underneath, I'll probably jump in. There we go. Looks like we're gonna close this candle underneath and then give it to the prior bar high, which would be 57.75 over there on Oxy. Oh, by the way, Tesla almost a 400 break. Keep an eye there.
Yeah, keep an eye over there on Tesla. I mean, we've just got this one trade on right now, Amazon. It's now it was almost $1 or so in the money. We just bounced off 207.50, which was the area that we thought could have some bounce off capabilities. And we did zoom back down in, right? And this is where we found that 207.50 right there. So it was a good bouncing spot. We were able to take some out. We have less and less of that trade on, obviously, than we had previously. So far, so good here. And we'll just wait to see where we go now on Amazon. But I mean, I don't mind the trade. It's just we only have about 30% left. Amazon downside. We're still going to hold out for it. If it breaks higher, then we can get out of that one. Apple had that story today about the over-the-ear headphones there, the Air Maxes maybe getting released a bit earlier than they thought. Apple kind of doing okay today, but not really joining the market move higher as we just touched out near the tops right there. And Apple only up 0.83, but still a nice little take high side there for Apple today. 252.25 looking to break long on AAPL. All right, we do have a move higher now in Amazon. Okay. Breaking back above 208. I was going to take another piece out here if it does fall back in. Here we go. Remember, 208.25, we're going to have to get out if that breaks 208.50. So it's a good thing we got out, but it looks like, well, we won't make as much as we had about $1 ago, but at least we picked out some of that bottom. Looks like Amazon's really catching a bid sort of out of nowhere right now as the market shoots upside as well. So we can get away from Amazon, no problem. 208.50 breaks, we are out of Amazon. I actually don't even realize I don't even have that order in because it wasn't that close last time. 208 right there, whoopsies, oh, it is in, okay. So there it is, man, it just broke through 208.50. did it break there? I'm not even sure. But there goes Amazon right now, back up to the upside. So we'll flush away a little bit of those profits right there, right now. I'm going to go to 208.61, see if that winds up breaking. We'll get a little bit back in right now. 208.61. I'm not even sure if we broke there, but good enough for me. We reshorted that one on that break, and we'll see. 208.60, that's kind of where that 25 period is. So we want to give it a little bit more room, but Amazon getting going. We're not going to lay on this one, man. If this dies, then it dies. It's just making a move higher. Yeah, so let's wait to see if it does retrace, but there goes Amazon.
Micron.
Looks like it wants to go higher. Yeah, Micron and SNDK are the
Micron 6.5.
Those are the
I mean, I was impressed when Intel was up 6.5. It's now only up 5%, but Micron up 6.5% along with SNDK. So it looks like it's memory, and more memory as usual, leading the market higher. The Nasdaq's going, and it's on the backs of those bad boys. You're seeing USO hit back at the low. So just one thing to know: if oil's at the lows here, and Oxy wants to follow, great. But it's putting in a higher low when oil futures are at the low, so it took some off. I'll reload VWAP if I can, but obviously it's a little bit stronger than oil futures here. I would like to see it retrace the lows just like oil futures are right now, but got to take some off. Is that one heading back to the downside? Adair, what do you have for us?
I just wanted to mention with regards to Micron, there is a story in that sector. I don't know, remember if this was this morning. It was certainly on our watch list, though. Micron expanding its Taiwan site, looking to build a second semiconductor facility at its newly acquired site within Taiwan. Now, it is worth noting, of course, MU reporting after the bell, 4 p.m. sharp on Wednesday. Back to you.
All right, we are getting
There's still some earnings left, and Micron's one of the big ones.
Exactly. We are getting a little bit of a push down here in Amazon again. I don't know. I'm happy with it. I mean, we'll get some more out at 208 if we can. We got run the last time to the top side, as you guys saw. So I'm just taking some more out here, 20s, and then we got 15s or so. So nice little downside push here for Amazon, but that was a nice move higher there. Kind of just as the market ran, so did Amazon. So I think Amazon's going to be back moving with the market now. So we can get away from this one if it does take out that 208.60. But other than that, let's wait to see if we get a retracement back down to the lows of the day, okay? So I'm going to bid something at 208 flat there if we can get a 208 flat print. I think that would be worth it because we're risking 20 cents. So 208 flat is 40 cents. So that puts it 2-1. So we've already been getting out some more here. I only have the one trade on today, so hopefully we can look for a little bit more. We were looking at our sticky note there, and we had the Qs for a long. Maybe that's trying to pull back in a little bit. We had NVIDIA for a long. That stock did take off, but maybe is pulling back there as well into some good levels here. Yeah, this is not a bad one. 184 and change right now for NVIDIA, especially if this market is taking a little bit of a breather. Maybe we can get NVIDIA on sale here. So that's not horrible as well. But trying to find out where some other strength lies in today's market. And you can see right here, it's a very green day, man. I mean, there's almost nothing red. I mean, some energy names. Again, we'll wait. I think it's prudent to maybe wait to see what the president has to say about anything there before you take a longer position on there. But, you know, if you're going to scalp out, you have no risk right now. Eli Lilly, some of the bank names starting to go as well here. Looks like Amazon is going to continue to go to the top. Yeah, so it just hits 208.60, so we're out of Amazon, so fine. See you later. JP Morgan up, Wells Fargo, Goldman, Morgan. You know, a lot of the financials starting to go better today than they had been in the past. NVIDIA still up that 2%. Marvell, there's Micron. We just looked at that one, and thanks to Darren Neal for looking at those ones. Intel up 6. We mentioned that was right away off the open there as well. And then that's about, you know, we'll look at this again coming up. The health names look pretty good today as well. Eli Lilly up that 1%. All right, man, Amazon's up to 209 again. So that was, that downside play for Amazon was not very long. That's for sure. We actually hit it pretty good, and I don't know why it continued to go there. Topped out around 210. Maybe that's an area to look at right now. But Amazon trying to go higher right now, and just trying to find something that maybe has based out. So you guys let me know if there's something that's kind of setting up. I mean, Microsoft
right now there's
not much. Microsoft might be setting up, but
well, there's
it's breaking lower. Microsoft.
There's breaking. Intel can't even catch a bid all of a sudden. Like, that stock was so strong off the open, and now not. So that might not be the cat's meow. USO, see what I'm watching here? Like, USO is continuing to break lower. Like, we're through the lows, you're continuing to look bad, and we're not at the bottom here on Oxy. So Oxy, and unfortunately, that 57 level, which I thought could be a breakdown, like right in here, the longer we hold on to 57, I guess, you know, the more reason that I might need to get out of this. Basically you have like a bottoming tail wick off the open, and then you have this 57, which is trying to hold while oil futures are at the low. I don't need them bottoming. And this is not as weak as I would have thought compared to the overall market. So unfortunately, I'm going to slap a quick little trail here. Would have expected you'd be at the lows. Oh, I was about to put the trail in, and then it broke the price I was going to put the trail to. So I was going to put it back into these bars, 57.05, so we just jumped out of that one. And again, it just comes down to don't need oil bottoming when it was making a fresh low when Oxy wasn't. So par for the course, unfortunately, there for Oxy. I'm going to reload if we can into VWAP, but I'll keep an eye on the futures. If I do see oil breaking through VWAP on its own, then I'm not going to be doing the same thing on Oxy. But then in IBIT, we're going to lose the volume weighted average price there. So we'll end up 1 for 2 once we lose VWAP here on IBIT, and then hunt for the next. And it might not be that Intel after all. Like, look at Intel plowing through the lows. Like, it's not even trying to hold the bid anymore. So all that strength that you saw early, that's abated big time. And it's over on Micron, and it's over on SNDK, and it's certainly left Intel, which was up 6 points. So we're going to have to wait for that one to break trend or just do something distinctly different, because it doesn't look like it's lasting that move after the first initial push.
All right, we found something there. We just went back over to NVIDIA, so we'll just go like that. Yeah, it was bouncing off 184 a couple times. We said we wanted to find something that was maybe baselining, so we take a little bit of that NVIDIA. Long at 15s, out at 40s. Right there, so made a little bit of money back. Still holding on to some of this, obviously, but looking to see a little bit more until we break basically this 183.80. So would not mind getting more levels here of 184 if we can get that. Let me just go double check in. PAVS, I saw there, yeah.
Oh,
Paranovus is down 80% or something today. So find us a story here, Adara. PAVS. V as in Victor, so yeah, Pablo, Allen, Victor, Sam. Pablo, Allen, Victor, Sam. Yeah, there goes to the downside there as we get going on PAVS. So another name here that's getting lower. And we want to identify all these names from here. So if you guys get into the chat right now and type in $, yes, I do.
There is nothing on this stock. The most recent Benzinga entry was January 9th. I went on social media. There's only a smattering of mentions for this. So like people are not really looking at this stock either. I'm going to keep Googling, but nothing obvious or immediate somehow on this PAVS.
Okay, yeah, so that just showed up on the scanner there. But here today, it's pretty much all talking about big names, right? Palantir, USO, we looked a little bit at that. Where I was looking for short oil, but as we just sort of commented there, it's not really going short right now, so we have to wait for that one. I'm sorry, it's not going up to give us the short to get into a dip, a rip opportunity where we can fade any sort of a rip. Those USO. So Spider obviously up 1.15%. You guys know last week we dip bought some into our own account on the SPY, so that's turning out okay. Intel, as Neil said, not catching a bid. CYN, we can have a look over there. Nebius today with the deal with Meta. That starts to go higher. Micron, there's no stopping at the highest level I've seen on Micron in a while. So yeah, good on you, Micron. You continue to be the king to the high side there, as well as Apple just chilling out. So, get your votes in there and let us know which stocks you want us to look at. I'm only into NVIDIA. NBIS, that deal again with Meta. We saw CoreWeave upside today. There's a lot of people trading some CoreWeave in their life. Nebius bouncing nicely off the 200 period. That was pre-market though. So we'll see if they can deal with that again underneath the 200 period moving average. And yeah, you can go long this 126, man. That's been your 200 period.
CoreWeave is dying.
Oh, is CoreWeave dying as well? Okay, well then maybe Nebius might not be the trade for everybody. Meta was the one. I mean, I'm trying to go long still on NVIDIA, waiting for 184.05 if that comes in. But yeah, Meta was the other part of that deal as well, 634 high. I was actually saying that I like Meta better than the rest of them. It doesn't mean that I think any of them are really that good, but Meta right there near the bottom of 600 is giving you everything back. There's that quarter all the way back. So I was looking its end. I keep saying that we're near the next sort of round, but the next round is end of April. So we still have a little ways to go before we do get back into, earnings for the big guys. I think Meta's like April 29th and Apple's like April 30th and things like that. So we still have a little bit of time to go on that one. I'm going to get a little bit more out of NVIDIA. There it is, man. We get another 40 out there on NVIDIA here as we go. So 184.50 there for NVDA, another out there at 40. We'll see, man. I mean, I'm not willing to buy, what's going? Tesla's going, okay, so Tesla back
Tesla
to
401 break is going to happen.
Okay,
We just lost
NVIDIA's good, though.
We just lost VWAP here on IBIT, so we'll end up with 1 for 2. Oxy is actually bouncing. We might get a reload on Oxy, but we just lost that prior. Whoops, and there goes Tesla. So Tesla did just break 401. That was resistance on Friday. Let's see if it can hold on to $400. Obviously, that's going to be a big psychological level on the way back through, but it's got room to about 405 to 408 if it wants to sustain this move. So Tesla through the 401 breakout. Actually thought there might be a chance that we'd see like those 380s on some dips this week, but at least not now, at least not early. Let's go to Adair. We've got more news.
We have a couple of minutes here until this NAHB housing market index. You're going to see me again at 10 a.m. But in the meantime, President Trump making comments, it looks like in a PBS interview. He declined to comment on the possibility of deploying ground troops in Iran. He said that there's no major destruction of Iran's infrastructure and that, quote, the oil prices will drop like a rock as soon as it's over. So saying once again that the second this conflict ends with the Middle East, oil prices will go back down. Oil prices are actually at their session low right now. President Trump also saying that Iran is, quote, not ready for a deal and the cost of this conflict is, quote, negligible. Back to you.
Cost is negligible.
Yeah, the cost seems to be pretty high.
Oh, it depends on your definition.
Yeah, exactly. Like I thought they were costing this about $1 billion a day this war. So we'll hear. And then Iran's only claim to fame right now is that all these drones are costing next to nothing, yet they cost a lot of money to shoot them out of the sky. So something about that there, making the economics work there. But all right, NVDA right now starting to go. Like, so we were pretty happy dip buying there. We could check back on our Amazon trade that is, you know, we got out of. That's trying to level off here as well, man. Maybe 209 is the high there. I don't know. I was just looking at Amazon only up 0.5, Nasdaq up 1.4. So Amazon might be the weak one here, but it definitely doesn't seem like it is. There it is. Now we're 50 cents in the money. So we've got, trying to have a little diamond hands here. See if we can get up to 185 right now on Amazon. Let's put an offer at 184.80s.
NVIDIA.
NVIDIA, sorry. Yeah, see Amazon. Yeah, I don't think we'll get this low on Amazon. Amazon's already over 200, but right into here. Let's go to 184.80, something like that, maybe for a little bit of a high side there on the upside for this name. Because we're talking energy, maybe some SMR in your life as well. That's broken back down below $12 and getting lower. Ay, ay, ay. All right, there's numbers now at 10 o'clock, so we're going to go back over with Adara, get happening now, and some release of your economic numbers.
Relatively minor number here, NAHB housing market index in 10 seconds, but it's not the only housing number we're getting this week because we'll get some pending home sales tomorrow. NAHB housing market index forecast 37, prior 36, new one coming in at 38. So again, actual print for the NAHB housing market index 38 versus the forecast of 37 and the prior print of 36. Of course, this number above both of those. Market moving lower here, not necessarily related to this NAHB housing market print, but Nasdaq struggling at session highs here around 602. Here's the S&P 500 looking quite similar to the Nasdaq, though S&P 500 looking a little bit less double top-ish, for lack of a better term. Now, tons of tech and AI headlines on watch today. Let's go over some of them for you guys. Of course, the banner, the biggest headline of the day and possibly of the week, other than the Fed, is this GTC 2026 conference. NVIDIA kicking this off with a keynote at 2 p.m. Eastern from CEO Jensen Huang. Keep an eye on that, without a doubt. I'll cover that for you guys live, of course, as I always do. Let's talk about Micron. MU, ahead of their earnings report on Wednesday after the bell, getting a couple analyst price target increases from RBC and TD Cowen, and also announcing plans to build their second facility here in Taiwan. Now, Meta in focus as well, on watch with a couple different catalysts. The first of which, a report from Reuters suggesting that they might be cutting up to 20% of their workforce. Now, it is worth noting a Meta spokesperson all but denied these reports, saying that it's a speculative take. Furthermore, Meta also involved in this Nebius deal, which is worth a total of $27 billion over 5 years. NBIS, if I can pull that up for you guys, also doing quite well today. So again, AI and tech, without a doubt, both on focus today. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, make sure to stay with us all day for that Jensen Huang keynote, and make sure to join us on X at TTV Research for updates and reminders of when these big events are set to occur. Back to you.
Right. Yeah, thanks, Dara. I do have a new position, so we'll just do this and we'll go over and see what Neil's up to. But I'm going to try some Oracle down here. It looks like Oracle's trying. I'm going long, so don't tell that to Adara. I'm just trying. I know. I'm just
Intraday longs are fine. My longer-term thesis is just short.
Yeah. I just didn't want to. I know. I'm just playing around. Obviously, as we sit here and we talk about our trades, I'm only going to see if it wants to hold this 156. It may not. It's come back in a couple times here. 156, 156, 156. You know, and every time we bounced a little bit here. So I think for like 20 or 30 cents worth of risk, I'm willing to put on more down here at 156.10. I'd like to be closer, obviously, to 156 before we put on, you know, a bigger position on this one. So we're going to hold out hope on that. All right, so NVIDIA is coming in. We want to give this one a little bit more room. We didn't get the reload down there. Well, it didn't come in yet. Oh, that's Oracle. I switched over to NVIDIA. There's the NVIDIA chart. So we almost got it, man. What did that come to? 09s? We're at 05s on NVIDIA. So I was just going to wait for 05s, and hopefully that can come in. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But here we go, man. Oracle, we don't want to, hold this one for too long. So there we go, man. We'll take some little bit out there. That's 35 cents on Oracle. We'll see if we can get it going just a bit more here, back up to the upside. So we were buying that dip there. Well worth the risk to reward. We're already in it more than about 1 to 1 right now. Looking for a little bit more, but what about a 157? Let's offer upside here near 157. See if we get that trade. We're going to go to 156.90. Maybe we get that, and we'll wait for our NVIDIA trade now. So here we go, man. 50 cents in the money right now on Oracle. I don't have a problem taking some out right near 79, maybe. We'll get some out at 79, then maybe at 90, and then we'll go from there. There, we get that 79. I'm going to cancel the 90 and see if we can go on Oracle. Let's just go to 157, where VWAP is, and then we'll see if we can get that. So Nasdaq coming down a little bit. We're looking to get long on NVIDIA and a little bit more on Oracle. So that's about it for me right now.
Yes, looks like Tesla, it got to 401.83, so it couldn't quite break that first dollar level on this little mini breakout here. I'm going to buy the dip back into the 400 just to get a bit of a reload. But if we can't take out this 02 soon, you could be running out of steam as the market only up that 1 1/3, and it's not really sustaining this breakout as much as I would like. So I'm looking at 403. That would be the price area we're looking for the first big target. But I'm going to buy the dip back into the 400, reload. If we don't break that 402 soon, going to have to start to make another judgment call there. Intel, yikes, I guess it's not really that good. It's still under VWAP, it's still trending down. It's up 4.5%. I just want this breaking this downtrend to be able to be involved in it somehow to the long side. I haven't taken it yet, I haven't made a single trade in Intel, but it looks like this might actually be losing the volume weighted average price more than anything else. And I didn't really have this in for a short, but it's giving that classic failed breakout and then trade underneath the volume weighted average price that I know I should be paying more attention to. Sometimes your bias gets the best of you. Like I'm thinking long on Intel today, and it's flashing me a false breakout and then short underneath the volume weighted average price. So at some point, I probably just have to take a shot and go scalp trade off VWAP to the downside here. That's what the setup is telling me on Intel. So maybe it's a long later, but at least for now, I'll look for this VWAP short. Yeah, that's how the market is sometimes, man. Like this stock was chilling at 6.5%. The market continued to rally, and it stopped cold. It is what it is.
Yeah, I think some of these markets are just trying to figure itself out right now. I mean, who would have thought that we would have been winning so easily there on Oracle and struggling with NVIDIA longs? So we actually emptied out more than half of this trade up top here. I still want to buy some more, but as soon as we got that NVIDIA long, I was like, I better get something out here on Oracle a little bit more. So we did a little bit more of that down there at 156.80. We were able to get like basically 10 cents about it right there. We got some 15s on NVIDIA right there because we are bouncing right around VWAP. We want to try to be able to hold this. I do have another offer at 16s, and then we'll wait to get into the 20s, and then hopefully back upside right now. But, you know, willing to lose on this. It's our first NVIDIA trade right back into VWAP. If we break it, we break it, and we can get out of there. So I think it's well worth the risk right now. But, yeah, the market's not doing a whole heck of a lot to the upside. And I know that you had that Tesla break, so that might be the one that winds up holding. Well, you're still in it.
Try.
That one might be the one that winds up holding right now. $400.50. That's looking like it's got a decent bid level into it. NVIDIA doesn't, though, man. I just want to let everybody know that this one, you know, might be the one that's looking like it wants to break lower here. It's not holding, but there's still a level here, so I'm still in it, trying to go. So if it does go, great, but for right now, just holding out facts of
oil's still trending down.
Oh, there it goes. Okay, we got, sorry, not to interrupt, we got 16s there for NVIDIA. So there it goes. We got some 11s, some 16s, so decent outs there, but yeah, just waiting. Hopefully NVIDIA can join the party there. Oracle back up to 50 cents again. So this is a nice little trade. Let me offer some out there. There it is. We get that fill. Now we just wait for Oracle and say when you want to moon. That looks like that's going to be a good dip buy, hopefully, for us. Right back up there to VWAP. And then NVIDIA still trying to put in the good work here. And needs a little bit more to go, though, for that to happen. So NVIDIA sitting on my hands a little bit, see if that one can go. We've already taken out about 35% of this trade just because it's not going. Let's give it a chance to go. I mean, it's only 10:07.
Yeah, it is only 10:07. Oil futures, by the way, right back at the lows. We're trying to break this 402 now on Tesla, so it's going through. We got the 403 as a target, but I do want to respect, if we lose the 402 level, then I want to start working on the trend line on the pullback, which would be back into 400. I don't want this dropping back that $2 or back into VWAP without getting out first, so my target is sitting here at that 03. If we get it, fantastic. Otherwise, look to slap out on this upside move. I did get Intel in front of that 48 in the volume weighted average price short, so I know I said long Intel, but it's under VWAP and it was a false breakout, the pre-market high. So that setup is look for the short to VWAP and go to Adair at the desk.
Keep an eye on oil here as we digest comments from the Executive Director of the International Energy Agency. That would be Faith Birol. She's, I mean, to be fair, obviously you have to consider what the source is. This is coming from the IEA Executive Director, but she's saying that the IEA's quick action with regards to these crude oil stock releases had, quote, a calming impact on markets, and that despite the huge release, they do still have a lot of stocks left. She's also saying that the Strait of Hormuz disruptions are already having impacts on the economy and consumers. So be aware, if you are trading oil, we are currently getting comments coming through from Faith Birol, the IEA Executive Director. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Adair. Markets, of course, have been extremely active lately. For traders, this kind of environment creates opportunity. Big move means more setups and more momentum. But to really take advantage of these conditions, you need two things: discipline and access to capital. And that's where Trade the Pool comes in. Instead of being limited by the size of your own accounts, traders can access firm capital and focus on executing their strategy and managing risk. No more fear of blowing up your personal accounts. No more moving your stop loss too early because you're worried about your own savings. This is what we call limited risk trading. So if you want to take advantage of the volatility in today's markets without risking your own capital, please do yourself a favor and visit Trade the Pool. That's tradethepool.com and scan your QR code right there in front of you to get your 10% off coming here from Trader TV Live. So definitely take advantage of that opportunity as Neil and I sit here and trade prop as well. So we definitely know about trading other people's money and little risk-free trading. We talked about this with Obi last week, of course. Shout out to Obi, and thanks for filling in, obviously, last week. And we did get a nice little bump up there on Oracle, man. I mean, we took them, this went to 157, out 157.16s. Like, so we do almost ring a dollar club. I mean, our best fill there was 90 cents, up to 157.15. So that's holding out okay. I told you guys earlier that I think the fear really in NVIDIA might be the trade lower. It's not breaking. We already had that huge move higher there. I'm just buying it off of VWAP and clearing it out. But the best outs we've had is like, I think into the 20s there was my best out. I can double check it. It might have even been 19s. Yeah, 19s is my best out. So we don't have anything higher than that right now. So we're going to drop it out if this loses 20 cents. And if we break through, VWAP is right here at 90 right now. So we're just going to give it 10 more cents lower than that. And just to double check, yeah, 79. So not much going on there. We're long at 05s. We're giving it 25 cents. So ideally, we'd like to get this thing up a little bit right now. But there goes Adara's favorite stock. There goes Oracle, but the wrong way, according to many. There is Oracle, just 157 and change. And there we go. We've got our dollar club now.
Great trade, Sean. Good trade.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. No problem. I'm just talking about Oracle because I know it's something that you like. But you nailed this trade last week. I mean, Obi was trading this as well. It's still underneath the 50-period moving average. We don't love the stock. It bounced. Look at this. Bounced off the 200, the 50 there. Bounced off the 50 there. Bounced off the 50 there. But your boy has an oh boy kind of a trade. We want to thank Adara for the kind words there, because there goes 157.40. So it is another one right there, followed by, and then props up because we only have 2 trades on today that are working. Amazon's a loser, but here goes NVIDIA right back up to the highest spot we've gotten. So I'll try it again. We'll take another 16 out right there on NVIDIA and see if this one will go up. We're waiting now at 24s. There it is, yes sir. So we're back to Greensville on the day there. Loss on Amazon. Obviously the win is in Oracle and in NVIDIA. So we'll go 2 for 3 right now with a decent day. And yeah, thanks for the kind words there, Adara. And we'll go back to you and see if you're trading anything today as well. But Neil's in Intel. There we go, Intel shorts. So.
Well, we got out of the Tesla long because it already filled into the target. So it got up to that 403 zone, 402.5 specifically, effectively just this breakout into here. Now we'll look for the next move. I think it's pullback into VWAP, maybe pullback right into that 401, but certainly Tesla's on a bit of a mission. It wasn't a huge story or anything. You're going to find it. You would have found it on the watch list there for Tesla, but it wasn't a crazy story. I just love the fact that it broke through that 401 spot, but I am short into Intel. It wasn't, look, this was not necessarily the plan of action going into the day, but it false break of that prior high, puts a huge reversal candle in, and then sits underneath the volume weighted average price and consolidates lower, all while the market's breaking out. So like straight up in the market and straight down since the open there in Intel. So I'm going to continue to play this one. It's not necessarily VWAP for now. It's this 408.05 spot. So, the only slip up was going to be in IBIT, and I'm actually jumping right back to that one. Oxy was good, Tesla was good, Intel shorts working, but IBIT is pulling back into VWAP and looking like it's going to give us an opportunity to get back into it. So Bitcoin is at 74. 74.25 as a matter of fact, but it lost VWAP earlier. We're long into VWAP, and buying into that dip is what didn't work. I'm going to take a second shot at this. It's still above Friday's highs. That resistance at 74K, I think, is turning into some support. I made the bottom wick on the way out. We'll try not to do the same thing when we pick up this long again. So Intel falling for whatever reason, so strong early like Micron, but even Micron's underneath VWAP. So there you go. Like some of those chips that were so strong just like 15 minutes ago are starting to show a little bit of signs of weakness here. So Micron under 450, still up 5 points. And easily the strongest of the group was Micron and SNDK. If they can't bounce here, then I do wonder, like if those can't bounce, I don't think Intel's got a shot to hold on. But 47.5 is going to be the target here for me, which would be right where we were at the open. So hopefully this one heads back in lower. I don't want the market to go down, but I want this stock to, at least that's for sure.
Yeah, we're finally getting a little bit going here on NVIDIA. I mean, maybe it'll go, man. We just took advantage of that move up to 30s and took some out. So let's just let it go now. Like, I don't know. My next offer's here at 35. That would be the highest we've gotten. That's only for 5%, which hopefully hits right now, which it just did a couple seconds ago. And now see the pullback right there off that high again. So I'm going to feel bad to not get everything out all the time, but I do want to be here for a higher move. Right now, about $1.30 in right now, NVIDIA and Oracle. And I'm just going to wait for 80s. So that's what I'm at right now, 184.80, just to wait to see if we get back up to these highs. Hopefully that's what winds up happening, and I don't know. Oracle going. All right, let's look at something else. All right, SMR, Mara. I'm just trying to go through some of the levels here of some of the stocks that I look at here again. So this is what they are. Oracle, if we just sort of sort this by percentage right now, this is brought to you by eSignal, of course. USO to the downside, that's like one of the only red names on here. DraftKings down as well, that's down 2%. Occidental, Neil's been looking at that, that's down 0.4. Starbucks flat on the day, and then if we sort of see what's going to the long side, SockSell, obviously, as we, I'm long NVIDIA, Neil's short Intel, we've talked about sort of the divergences there. Micron, still a nice little move up higher there today, although it looks like it's pulling back. It's only up 5%, woo-hoo, right there, up to 455 again. Those were all-time highs one more time for Micron. So it just came right into 460 again, and now potentially fading. I think Micron, I said this last time and was wrong. Like, I thought Micron's on the way down. It doesn't think that, so, I'm wrong on that. That is for sure. Hey, where did my thing? There it is. Here's the watch. Let's go over there so we can all look at this one more time. Micron, Roblox finally going now. I think that's still a lot of risk to Roblox, although I really, really like the business. I just don't know about some of the childproofing and stuff like that over there. There's some talk about all that crap always. ARM, it's not crap. I just mean that's what's holding the stock back. Marvell, $91, 3.5% there. Tesla, there's the booming one. Neil took a good trade through that break as well. That's at 402 right now. Boeing getting hit, man, 215. Let's go have a look at Boeing. That seems low. Wasn't this just at 240?
250.
Yeah, Dara, remind me about why Boeing's getting hit over the last little while, if there is any news stories over the last couple of weeks. It's up nicely today, that's for sure. But look at Boeing, man, just not going. It's going the opposite, down into the 200 period, I assume, at some point.
That's got to be a buy.
I mean, the biggest story last week was they were going to be reworking some 737 MAX jets. This could delay deliveries, but it doesn't change their delivery target for the year. Also, last week, they did get some deals with Israel for some smart bombs.
Right.
So, I mean, they're still getting deals. And even with this rewiring or reworking of some of these jets here, that's not theoretically going to take too long. We think maybe an extra day or two per affected jet, and it's not impacting their targets for the year.
Okay, yeah, so.
I like that for a buy.
Yeah, I think, yeah, me too. I was gonna say, like, oops, that's still Boeing. I was like, say, where are we on the daily here? We are under, I didn't think we'd be under, but we are under the 200 period moving average. So, yeah, potentially an issue there for sure with Boeing and now under, but as Adair just mentioned, not changing any of the expected production numbers there for Boeing. So probably a dip buy, I would agree with the sentiment there for sure. All right, so I got out some more of NVIDIA just right here. It just doesn't seem like it wants to go. I know I'm like saying that we want to hold it. We're still 25 cents in the money, and it looks like it doesn't want to go higher. So let's just wait to see one more move higher in these futures. If NVIDIA doesn't give me that 70 or 80 level, then we're just going to get out of it, because if the futures can re-go to highs and NVIDIA's not doing that, I just wonder if people are either waiting to sell the news when that conference begins around 2 p.m., or if it just doesn't have the juice today to go, and that would make sense. I mean, we're bouncing again off of levels that we haven't been able to break. And a shout out to everybody watching us on the talk that is ticked right now, and that's TikTok upside right now. Just guys, hit this like button, tap the screen, hit the like button, hit this little I love this, I love this, I love this, I love this, I love this. You can hit this so many times, that's 25 times right now. Work on your gaming opportunities there, but hit the like and the subscribe here on Trader TV Live. 250 likes already here. Need some more viewers, man. Only 65 right now on TikTok, but we're over there now, so you should be too. Join us on TikTok. Might be, I don't know, if you prefer the viewing experience on there, we're good either way.
Yeah, so either way.
Hit us up over there on TikTok and let us know if you are enjoying the programming over there, and you know, we'll be over there to answer your questions as well. Post them wherever
Sharif's on it.
if you want to. Yeah, Sharif's all about TikTok for sure. If you do have any questions, man, put them in the chat. You can send a small super chat to get our attention, or if we see it, tag Neil and myself, and we will get over that. One name that I know, it's a name that you like as well. I like this Aero Environment. We tanked pretty good last week on earnings, like really good, into $200. So this name is down about 50% in a month or so, and looks like it wants to bounce in and around this area. So I see some chatter there in the chat about AVAV. So just wanted to let you guys know that, you know, we see all that, and we will get to some of these names. Make sure you hit that hashtag. We're going to go over the visualizer as well. But for right now, it's Adara, and it's 10:20.
Small cap time, starting with CTMX. This one was actually featured on our Trader TV Live morning watch list. Now, they did have a pretty rough quarter. They announced Q4 results here, missing on EPS and sales estimates, but they also announced some well-received data for one of its treatments for late-line metastatic CRC. So kind of a mixed look here for CTMX, generally well received by the market, and a 14% short float. CYN with a 23% short float, roughly 7.5 million share float. They're going to be at GTC. So they're going to be at this NVIDIA GTC conference here. Syngin, which is a stock that's rallied in the past, advancing their high-fidelity forklift simulation, as will be revealed, I guess, at GTC. Last but not least, this is a buyout. I do want to mention this one, though, in case people missed the catalyst on this. ULY Urgently. This is a stock that has rallied in the past. They're going to be acquired by Agero for $5.50 per share, currently trading around $5.37. They also posted better than expected Q4 2025 earnings after the bell on Friday. Back to you.
For the bell, good. We just mentioned there, I was throwing to Neil, I just want to let you guys know I did get some more out of NVIDIA because the futures did go to the highs, and NVIDIA did not go to 184.80. So a little bit more out there on NVIDIA.
Yeah, and you were saying like NVIDIA doesn't want to go higher. Well, at the same moment, Intel didn't want to go lower. I don't know if they're just like opposites attracting, but it didn't break this local bottom here on Intel at 47.65. But at this point, look, from the highs, you've actually got a trend line which is holding pretty cleanly. So the stop is now basically at break even. If it breaks this 48 again, about 48.05 or so, then you've really taken out this trend line. And really, I should be going back into thinking of the long in Intel at that point. But at least until it breaks at 48, for now, we've scalped inside of the range. I'm back into some IBIT, and you mentioned AVAV.
Yeah.
So I wanted to point out that double bottom at the 200 level. There's a couple of things going on with this. From the high, I can do this for you. And you also have this like this insane wick here. But from this high, look at how well it's holding that trend line in here. This has a really decent chance on the daily chart to break this trend at some point this week. To me, that'll signal a re-entry point, but I haven't gotten back into this. I told you guys, I think it was 2 weeks ago, because I wasn't here last week. It was 2 weeks ago when it lost that 228. That was support level I was buying in front of at the end of last year. And because it's gone, need to break that trend, and then I'll look for the long back again in AVAV. Still like them as a drone play, but trend is your friend until the end, when sometimes it bends. All right, so back over to IBIT. It's holding above VWAP pretty decently, so put in a bottoming tail well above the volume weighted average price. So we're long a little bit higher than where we were before, but want this to take out that top. I still think there's plenty of room for this to really go, just showing you a 15-minute. It's not a blue sky setup, but on the 15-minute, it's a pretty big breakaway that I want to at least make some fresh highs before we look at taking some profit off.
All right, yeah, same kind of thing for me right now about looking for fresh highs. Oracle made a great move into 157.50, so I'm almost out of everything here on Oracle. I'm thinking about a 157 drop-off. If we break 156.80, let's just get out. I mean, my stop was way lower, obviously. We're $1.20 in the money. Let's go 156.79 out of Oracle, 100% if it drops below that. Fine by me if that's what winds up happening. That was a good long there for Oracle. Only thing we wish is that we had a little bit more on that one, but we don't. So there goes Oracle, nice move in there. 156 held. So that was a good little bottom there, and that's what we're looking for, right? We're looking for structure. We talked about that last week. Best trades for me are structured ones where we can load up and feel good about it. And I think that's what we did on, that is what we did on NVIDIA. NVIDIA will easily be, obviously I've only traded 3 names. We wind up losing on Amazon, and we got out of the way of that one, thank God, as that's up to 210. Wasn't really expecting the market, was expecting the market to take off. You could see here, this is very controlled move. Step down into the 50, and just kept on going higher. We have lower highs, higher highs. So lower lows, higher highs as we continue to go. So it's like a nice little stair-stepping action here for the Nasdaq. And you can see Amazon was not following that early, but late it's just been marching with the beat of the market. So we're going to stay away from Amazon, as that name looks to have been a turnaround story for sure right there. All right, Tesla, another look there. We could check out Rivian just real quickly. There's actually not that much going on, nothing. Not that much going on a lot of my scanners right now. Almost wish there was a little bit more to talk about right here. NVIDIA now at recent highs, so that's a good one if we can keep going on that. IBIT still, I wish, you're in it too. Okay, I was gonna say I wish almost more was happening a little bit here with IBIT, so we'll wait to see if that wish can come true now, and just kind of hovering. I like the look here for the long. It's above VWAP, so there's nothing wrong with that. Trying to break through 42.25. And here's NVIDIA. We still, look, man, I still got on about 25%. But looking for, you know what? This is basically the highest it's been. We can get out of another 5% if we can get something at 50, but it just keeps on bouncing here. And I don't just want to run away from this trade, because I still think it goes higher, but what we think sometimes doesn't really matter what the market's doing. CLJ, I'm always going to keep track of this. So this is 193,000 shares or contracts, so far there today. The next one we want to look at, J, is May. So that would be HIJK. Oh yeah, just alphabetical. So the K is 173,000. What did I say there? Did I say 90,000 or 190,000? Hold on, let me just go over and look at the J just to give you guys an idea.
It's looking
of the right contract. Though. Same. Okay, so we're still the same. on that contract. So it's still J contract. We're still in the April, and it's 94 down 4.5%. All right, that concludes, man. We'll ride the bear maybe now on Oracle because that concludes the trade there. It was obviously a good out for me near the high side there. We held about 5% left. Get it out right there on Oracle on the break back down through 157. So far, so good there. March, I just got an email from CBS. The March Madness brackets are now live, of course. And I don't know, really, I haven't been following it. Hold on a second.
Michigan's really good.
Yeah, I know Michigan's put up some huge numbers there. St. John's won the Big East, I think. Okay, another dumb trade of the day. Okay, we are getting ready to get into some
squared.
Yeah, go ahead. I see it's Ion.
David with the dumb square trade of the day. So it's like, I don't know. Maybe it's a good idea, maybe it's a bad idea. Ion Q, January 15, 2027 call, $70 bucks. You're holding for a while. Happy St. Patty's Eve. That's right. St. Patty's Day tomorrow. PS SNDK ran you over so bad it's burned into my memory. Oh, this morning SNDK? Because obviously SNDK, we'll get to Ion Q in a quick little second there, but SNDK, it's a nice looking bull flag. So I guess you could have only been short if this one ran you over. 7 points. Micron is strong. It hasn't made an all-time high yet, but the way it's going doesn't look like it's that far away. I haven't looked at a single one of these names since I came back. Actually didn't look at any of the charts, IonQ or Rigetti. They just weren't necessarily in play. I don't know what's given these guys a bit of a bounce here because it's just been sell, 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 sell. Maybe you break some kind of a trend. You're giving yourself enough time, I suppose. And on top of that, I think most would at least agree. I'm no expert in the space. Most would agree this is probably structurally the best quantum play. Even Shkreli thought it was the one that wasn't worth zero. So there you go. It's trying to hold on to kind of a bid here, but no, it's been downside precipitously for IonQ. So giving yourself some time at least makes sense.
Oh, wow, that's a really straight down.
No, it's really been selling off for the last little bit. And since earnings, all of them have been going to the downside. All right, so Intel's still teetering on breaking this trend. I'm not long yet, but if we break out here, I got to start thinking about that reversal into the long side. And again, we can't hold on to VWAP on IBIT. Like every time we go long in front, IBIT loses. It's the only, this is the one we're red on. Like Tesla was good, Oxy was good. By the way, Oxy's getting strong. I don't think that's a short again. But Bitcoin not holding on to the volume weighted average price, so it's a fail on Bitcoin. All that strength in crypto, and it just does not want to go. And I had mentioned that Oxy is starting to look strong. This is now consecutive, 4 in a row. Boom, boom, boom. It's holding an upward trend over VWAP here. And Willis Addison is actually saying get down USO, puts printing. Well, it's worth noting that while that's happening, Oxy, despite having worked early for short, this is now trending up and could go green. So this might not be the short I expected, but it can still break that trend for me. So ride that USO if you can. It's still trending to the downside. Obviously, oil prices have been moving a heck of a lot more than this recently, only 3% down here, but it is trending pretty nicely for you. Just weird that Oxy's showing a little bit of strength now.
Yeah, no, it's this is a pretty strange market. I've been getting some more out of NVIDIA because it looks like it's just going to go and break lower right now. So I'm just going to start to ease this more and more out as right now I'm down to less than 20% of this position. It just did not go. We sort of talked about what our expectations were for NVIDIA, and if they're not going to follow, then we're not going to follow either. And look, if this winds up absolutely mooning while we're at the gym or whatever, over lunch or at any time, that's good. I mean, we want that to happen. We're obviously long NVIDIA in our own personal accounts, but how many times are we going to see it just sit here and do absolutely nothing all day, and I'm going to sit in it and just get waxed? No. So we are getting out of NVIDIA right now. It's obviously cannot be a loser. We'll get out a little bit more there at 183.95s, or sorry, 97s, and just wait, man. Our stop is at break of 80, so hands off. We have like less than 10% now of this position, and hopefully it bounces, but I don't think it's going to. NVIDIA to the downside. So if NVIDIA is going to be weak, we could definitely look over here as well and watch out for AMD. That's been sort of the wrong one for me to be looking at NVIDIA when it's been AMD. Like if we just went long AMD instead of NVIDIA, I think we would have had a much, much different story to tell everybody here today. But instead we don't. We go the other way. So AMD is going to pull back right here. Wouldn't be surprised if it wants to hold VWAP. So that might be a better trade at 197 because it's just showing showing strength today, while NVIDIA's kind of not, right? I mean, look, we just get a hold, so far so good as we break back above, but this stock is not looking very healthy at all. I just looked at SMR again. This could be something that's near the day's low break. So right there, SMR into Friday's close, 1185. So that's an area of interest. And then look at this. Look what just happened here, man. Man, did we have a good idea with Oracle. Like getting out there near those levels, sometimes you find them, sometimes you don't, but we did right there. Okay, I'm taking advantage of this move higher in NVIDIA, gets them out in the teens. But there it is, man, Oracle, nice little dump off there as it comes right back in. And there's that advantage that I was just talking about with NVIDIA. It came all the way back up. So let's get some more out there. 13s, 14s, again at 20s there as we just bumped right back up. So far so good right there. USO, someone super chatted about that. USO making a little bit of a move back up now. So you were looking at Oxy, that could be a play. Up to VWAP right now, 117 for US oil.
It's starting to look strong.
Yeah, still waiting to hear a little something else in my ear about it. But
I'm not really thinking that short as much anymore. But I ended up getting out of Intel. Intel bounced off that 47.5. So we got to the target zone, which is effectively the open right where we opened at $47.50. So it just bounced off of there, showing some support. And that downward trend, it could still break after making that bottoming tail wick, but that would happen if we got to about 47, like 80 to 85 or so, break that downward trend over in Intel. But just to what Sean was talking about with oil, like Oxy is still holding these higher lows. So until we can break distinctly under both this trend line and VWAP, that'll be where I re-enter the short trade. It was a quick one off the open losing VWAP, but that was a nice little scalp trade. It's going to have to show a little bit more structure than that now that we're into 1030 and USO is catching a bit of a bid. Adara?
Action on BA here. I'm just seeing this headline here. Reportedly, the biggest Boeing 747 user is making its first Airbus order for freighters. If I get more details, I'll let you know. But I mentioned because there is some action here in BA. If I get more details, I'll let you know. But I am just seeing this headline circulate. And BA, unsure if this wick is real, but there was a bit of a move here. This one was already addressed. So yeah, now we have Bloomberg again, just to confirm the story. Bloomberg reporting that the biggest Boeing 747 user has made their first Airbus order for freighters. Back to you.
Yeah, I mean, we looked at Boeing earlier. I thought there was something a little up with it there. That's why we asked for the story, and then we got one now. So nice move there, as Dara reviewed sort of last week. It was in the news. Boeing right now up 2.7% cooking. I like this stock. Anything back down into VWAP for sure. Things starting to turn higher there for BA. It's been a bad couple weeks for Boeing as we topped out near that 250 and back into 205 or so on Friday. Like that was probably a good dip buy. Opportunity, not to beat a dead horse here or anything like that, but you know, NVIDIA gave us that opportunity one more time. So we're just getting lighter and lighter. Like we just got another opportunity right there at the 50 period to get out. So I'm just expecting 10 cents from now to be stopped out and we'll just wipe our hands of it. But it was a good trade and we're able to do well there on the NVIDIA. I was debating reloading Oracle, man. It just came right back into this 156 again. But look what this market's doing, right? A really nice pullback right now into the TQs, into VWAP, into 47.40s again. Here, let's call up the TQQ, sorry. Into the lows for VWAP for the futures. So obviously, we don't expect any of our long in the Nasdaq to be winning right here, but I do expect potentially a dip buy opportunity in the Nasdaq. So 47.40s coming in right now. An area for sure. Generally speaking, I like to see, you know, the 200 period or the 50 period on a 5-minute chart before we really start layering into that. But right now, the Nasdaq's turning around pretty aggressively now from $48 all the way back in. And there we go, man. We'll slap a fail on NVIDIA, but not a fail on the trade. I mean, it was a good trade, but it broke back down below right there. So NVIDIA we're green on it on the day, but it doesn't look like it wants to hold out right now, if anything lower. And we sort of did sense that in and around that 184.40 area, and there goes to the downside as well. I see Randy, thank you so much for the reload there, and that reminds me of Tesla bouncing off 401 and change right here as well. Randy, your XOM is cooking up to 157, so that name.
But it's not.
It's not moving to where you want it to, but it's at the highs. I don't know what else to
CDX,
do.
baby.
This is XOM right now, taking out the highs. The best we've gotten for XOM is like 160, man. You're at 158 and change right now. So a nice move, a beautiful base forming right here. I mean, I think this 146, 147 is a great one. I heard Neil say Chevron. I'm in XLE, so we'll see if that continues to work out.
Keep in mind, most of this is spot market price movement. It's not the long-term futures. So there's a bit of hesitation here. You know, the oil companies think this could be over sometime soon. So, you know, some of the shale plays are sitting on the sidelines. They're not ready to pull the trigger yet. They're not expecting this to last too long. Right. So, yeah, it's not moving where I thought it would be, but that's probably why.
They're tough buys up here, but if you start thinking about it in the longer run.
Exactly. So the longer this plays out, that movement could take off, but right now I don't see it.
Okay. It's tough. It's tough to buy these when you get that kind of a rally or a shock in oil, because you know if serious progress gets made and overnight we're back. Who knows? I mean, overnight maybe you get back to like 80 or something. It's like, oh no, did I just buy the top?
It's gonna revert back at some point.
Yeah. So like I love Chevron, but I wouldn't buy it up here. But unfortunately, in terms of buying, BMNR, well, you saw Bitcoin do that curl. BMNR is breaking trend right now. So this is open, higher low, trend breaking underneath the volume weighted average price. So this candle closes underneath, which I think it is going to. Going to throw the stop at that prior bar before the trend line, which is about the mid 80s, and look to get short on BMNR, which I had to pay for locates, but they're like basically free. You know, it's like a quarter of, I don't know, it's like 1/4 of 1 cent or something per share over there. So BMNR breaking that trend. Let me draw this back so I don't have to. And I can save this so it shows up the next time I pull up the chart. But yeah, breaking the trend and heading back into the downside. While USO, we were just talking about oil, all the way back into VWAP is USO. So yep.
Okay.
So if we're not seeing that, if we're not seeing this revert back to the downside, I'm probably not going to get a chance breaking this down on Oxy. Like Oxy just bounced. Like I'm sitting here like, okay. Boom, boom, higher, low, let's break the trend, and Oxy bounces right off it. So yeah, I'm looking for the short, but that doesn't mean it's gonna actually show up for me here, unfortunately. So Oxy was good early, but with the strength coming right back into the oil futures, you are seeing the stock get some strength. It did go briefly green, so it's right now rejecting going green on the session and still has a chance to set up that trade for me, but not yet. And I don't want to force it, not with the turnaround and trend up that we have over in USO. Like this looks even better if you pop a 15-minute chart on it. Like you look at the 15 and it's fill the gap all green on the 15-minute. So there might not be, and that's fine, there might not be a short again in some of these oil names. You had to take it early, and if you banked on it, great. Now it's looking like a pretty decent recovery for oil futures here, and that'll mean Oxy's not going to be a trade for me, potentially. I know there's some small cappers out there, and there was that WNW. I'm not going to try pronouncing the name of this company. Whatever. It begins with an M. That's the best I'll do for you. But this one...
That's not very good.
Well, okay, well, you want to give it a shot? It's MEIWU Technology Company Limited. WNW. MEIWU Technology Company. Like I'm not pronouncing.
It's Meiwu.
Meiwu?
Yeah, MEI is May.
May? Okay, Meiwu. Okay, so Meiwu Technology Inc. is what this thing is called.
If you say it with confidence, people just believe it. So that is what it is. Meiwu.
I'm not even trying to pronounce that.
Meiwu.
Meiwu.
MEI.
Well, Rex Banner in the chat says that you got it. And it's up 140 points, everybody. So I know this is one of the small cappers. When Sharif gets here, he'll be all over this one, I would assume, because over 100% above VWAP, doing great volume. Just remember, when we look at these on the higher time frame, yuck, like yuck, yuck, and yuck. So it's not the worst looking chart, but yeah, let's just say it has a bit of a history here. There's been some splits, there's been some pump, and there's been a heck of a lot of dump after the fact. So you ride it while you last and enjoy the party. But this hasn't usually lasted more than a couple of days here. And sometimes it doesn't seem like it even lasts more than, one, potentially two. Just be careful when you're trading these. Always have it in the back of your mind that you need to make sure that you bank your profits. So still waiting for Oxy to break this trend. I did not chase BMNR, so I'm not in it. just yet. It ended up breaking down on that candle, but it's bouncing now. So the break of trend line is into VWAP. If I can get picked up back into the volume weighted average price, we'll look to get the short on the bounce instead. Maywu.
Maywu, yeah, I think it's Maywu. All right, so, you know, not to beat a dead horse, but NVIDIA right now is just, it broke that VWAP and it just bounced off the 200 period. So, you know, if you're looking short here, I would probably start it at 184 until it's 184.15. But the market's just pretty choppy right now. I know it's making moves lower, so fine. We don't necessarily want the longs anywhere, but still, I feel like it's pretty choppy, you know, for trying to catch some of these longs because the bouncing is just, it's too much. If anything, it might be the right way to sit into a short right now and see if this market does give it all up. We're still up 1%, so I don't necessarily want to be like, you know, so short everything right now. But Google's making a move. I mean, I'd like to see a 303 take down into there, the low of the day. If we can get to 303, I think that's a buy. So we've got to maybe sit on our hands a minute to see if that wants to go lower. Did Meta turn red yet? Meta had no, not even close. I was going to say, because if that turned red, that's a problem. They were having a great morning, up 2.5%. We said that Microsoft was below that 400. Is it sticking? I'm just trying to run through a lot of these major cap names. 395 looking like the low there from Microsoft. So, yeah, things not getting any better here, it doesn't seem like, in the market. But maybe there's a dip buy opportunity in and around VWAP. Lows of the pre-market, well, since, I guess, 8 o'clock or so, 6 o'clock, sorry, coming in right now for, no, that's 8 o'clock, coming in for the Nasdaq. So could be some buying opportunities here, but without Nasdaq and NVIDIA going, could be a tough sell. Just quick look on Tesla, and then we'll go over to Adara for 1040. Yeah, so there it is, man. You're at VWAP right now for Tesla at its at $400. So key price, key technical area. Will Tesla hold VWAP right here at 400? I guess we'll find out when we get back. So Tesla right now 400 and testing its VWAP. Let's see if it holds it, Adara.
There's a lot of strength in this market. So let's start as I like to do, and we'll start with what's kind of antithetical to a lot of these other movers. Communications is weak across the board. T-Mobile down 3% today, and you've got Verizon and AT&T both down just under 1%. So communications, by and large, the most obviously weak sector today. Retail trade does have some laggards. Walmart and Costco each down 1%. And tech services, you do have, again, some SaaS or software weakness, but not all software weakness. You've got CrowdStrike down 3%, App11 down 2%, Adobe on earnings day 2 down 0.5%. Now let's get into strength, because even tech services does have some really strong names here. CRM, ServiceNow, and Synopsys trying to hold down the fort. So not all of these SaaS names are struggling today. Google and Meta to the upside. Meta to the upside on a report that the company's already sort of denied, suggesting they're going to be laying off roughly 20% of their workforce. NVIDIA, Micron, Intel leading the electronic tech sector to the upside. Keep an eye on NVDA at 2 p.m. Eastern with its keynote at its GTC 2026 conference. Finance strong, consumer non-durable strong, health tech strong, producer manufacturing strong, consumer services strong, and transportation strong. So long story short, if you're looking for weakness, communications may be the only obvious place to find it so far today. Back to you.
Yeah, CrowdStrike, man, that 3% down. No, you were doing so well. Yikes. CrowdStrike looks like it could be losing the 50 period on the daily here. So if buying the dip was only a swing trade and not a long-term play, then this would be the break of 420 would probably be the out, because that doesn't look very good. Like, you're making another lower high in here if we can't hold on to this 50 period moving average. You haven't, look, we're only testing it for the first time here, and it's a daily chart, so it could easily hold that level. But CrowdStrike weakness looking like it's starting to creep right back in. Whomever was selling this thing at $450 last week, and it looked like they might have won out here. Every single day this would get to 450 and fade. Dang. Yeah, like that's pretty distinct too. So yeah, we'll see how 420 holds out this week, but it really needs to hold 420. That'll be one to watch. As I said, if I wasn't buying it for the long term, if it had been a swing trade, I'd be slapping a stop personally there. BM&R kind of got away. It's trying to bounce into VWAP here, but if we don't get all the way to the volume weighted average price, I'll try to work something a little bit lower as I'm looking to short the pop here in.
All right. right, so far so good here. We've got a good trade on. We did put on some Palantir there. It came in into these lows. We said we were trying to look for a stock, whether or not it goes or not. I'm only out right now of 25%, as we're now in the money 30 cents. The stop was 151, so basically we're just over 1-to-1 now. We just got another fill up there at 57, so we'll take that. I'm gonna wait for 151.80, see if we can get that. That's just sort of where this kind of, I mean, I don't know, I got to get out somewhere, right? So if we continue to make moves, let's do that one on P. Okay, here we go, 150, what did I say? 151.80, well, we're almost there. So just a little bit more of a bump up there on Palantir, and we'll take another 50-cent win. So it'll be a good trade there for PLTR and put us into the Greensville today. I'm going to offer right there. I'm going to cancel my 80s. Just take that 72 fill right there and just offer that out. So here come, okay. Well, you know what? Maybe I'll put a little bit more at 80 and just wait for that. And then we're at 152, which is where the 200 period moving average is. So nice little take there on Palantir. Just came right in and was looking for a little bit of strength somewhere, and we just found Palantir right there, right near the lows. And it's not just, this is just a 5-minute chart. I found it on the 1 minute though, but you know, right into there, we had bounced. Okay, here we go. So now we're starting to extend through on Palantir. So there it is, man. Another 55-cent winner as the bulls are back, baby. That's going to be a nice trade. This is actually go right into my #1 trade, actually. Believe it or not, it took me forever to get Palantir, to get NVIDIA even 50 cents in the money. So we should celebrate this one as it goes 50 cents almost right away. I'm going to offer again, punch out a little bit there at 73. Wait around for an 80 again, but just get more out here on Palantir. We're actually out of half. So now we can wait again for an 80, then for an O's, and then if it moons to the high side, fine. I'm completely fine holding on to like 20% at best, because I told you this market seems really choppy. Would love for it to go back up to the upside, but you know, let's take profit where profit lies. And I'm offering 83s. So hopefully we can get out. There it is. Did we get it? No, we did not. There it is. Now we do. So nice little run through our level there at 83. Now we'll wait for 97s. I'm actually going to lower the amount of shares here. We'll go to 97. We'll get out of a little bit more on this trade. We have about 45% left. We'll get out of another 10% here in the 90s, and then we'll see if Palantir wants to continue to go a little bit higher. So that's the only position that I have on right now. I was trying to flag out for maybe Oracle again for a long. You know, it bounced off now a couple times off of 56. It's just the futures, right? I mean, we want to take advantage of it with Palantir. If it wants to rip up, I don't want to go double barrel longs. You know, futures fall out, which they're doing now pretty aggressively. That Palantir is going to come right out. So we're already out of half of it. And I might just take out another piece right here on Palantir at 54s. And then we'll wait, because the market pretty choppy going back into the lows. Look, we're still up 1%. But we might as well get out of it there a little bit more at 54. And now we'll wait, man. We have a third left now of this trade. Hands off, and we'll see if we get higher. And I'm going to reload it at 151 if it decides to go.
Ooh, the 151.
Looks like, oh, IBIT.
That's the best stuff.
Yeah, especially the 151 proof. IBIT down to 41 and change.
It's almost.
Yeah, I wanted 41 long, so we're getting close.
Yeah, that 41, oddly enough, that's about 72, something. It's like 72 quarter or something like that, or 72 half in that range, and we are getting close. But we don't get VWAP and BM&R, unfortunately, on that last little bounce. It made the bounce off the lows, and it got to about 22.60, 62, let's call it. So I'm shorting the bear flag, whatever you want to call it, the consolidation off of the lows. We're now into that short, giving it to this prior bar. So not the VWAP trade, but just shorting this consolidation in BM&R. Oh yeah, that USO, maybe we're stalling out a little bit here. So USO bounces all the way back to where it was at 9:30, holding that volume weighted average price for now. But I've been tracking another opportunity in Oxy, and finally, with a little bit of a pullback, not much, but with a little bit of a pullback there in USO, this could be breaking that upward trend. So just go from the bottom wick at the open, higher low, higher lows. It could break this trend on the 3-minute chart. And as long as I don't see USO spiking, then I'm going to jump into that short. But as I say that, USO is already catching another bid. So I might not get this. Oxy just doesn't want to break this upward trend. And we're just going to patiently wait for it to do that. But I am now in BM&R to the short side. Let's go over to Adara. Time to see how the US dollar is doing. It's been a good indicator for market strength and weakness at times. I've heard Michael Moss talk about it, so let's get an update.
Pulling back a little bit here today, Neil, but I mean, we're still within the price action of Friday. Friday, of course, opening around 99.7 and closing here of around 100.5. So we did breach that 100 level on Friday. Obviously, today we are below that level, but as I mentioned, we're still very much trading within the action on Friday. Now, in terms of economic data, nothing major today, higher than expected NAHB housing market index. Wednesday, we're going to get PPI, but also on Wednesday, we're going to get the FOMC rate decision. Now, here is how the Feds voted last meeting, which is going to be in January 28th of 2026. 10 Feds voting in favor of keeping rates held steady. We had 2 Feds voting in favor of a 25 basis point cut. So the dissent at the Fed very much remains a theme, and it's something that's going to remain on watch. Now, I've actually skipped ahead here to December 2026. This is the only meeting where we are expecting possibly, as of right now, a 25 basis point cut. So again, 40% chance here of a 25 basis point cut in December. Every other meeting, we're still seeing the odds greater here that we're going to be getting rates held in place. So let's see if that changes at all after March's meeting. Now, for what it's worth, for March's meeting, the meeting that we have coming up in 2 days, 99.1% of participants are expecting rates to be held in place. Back to you.
Yeah, that's a pretty good ratio there for sure. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, that's we looked at it last week. There was really going to be no cuts, at least until the mid-year, let alone maybe September. So, yeah, not a great atmosphere right now for Fed rate cuts. If you're looking for that, I mean, we need to get Kevin Warsh back in there. Well, he's been already nominated there as well. Whose birthday? Oh, the 17th, yeah, of September. All right, so just a quick little look here. Yeah, so that's when we're expecting rates. Like September, October meeting could come into play again. All right, we just dipped down on NVIDIA, or sorry, on Palantir. We might as well get a little bit more out. It's 65 cents in the money right now. We did not reload it. I'm still waiting for lower. If we get 151, then we can reload that. I'm still up at 152, so that'll be my next spot to get out. If that does hit, then good. Neil, I'm sure you had much better lunches than we had, but let's go figure out right now what's for lunch around here.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I would hope so anyways.
The lobster roll, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I was telling you, the first place we had to go to.
We had lobster roll almost every week, every day last week. So yeah. No.
And my daughter, for the first time, like she's eaten lobster before, but she's never had lobster roll.
Yeah.
After we're done, she's like, "Can we eat here again?" Like we're on vacation.
Exactly.
You better believe we can eat here again. So we went to the CJ's Clam Shack.
Can't beat it, man. You can't beat that fresh stuff. I was saying, like, when we went to Boston, it was just like, yeah, we'll just take one of those.
Now I just want to eat it again.
Yep. Well, there's some good lobster. There's some good spots in Toronto. That's for sure. There goes Palantir right now. Just hit 152. So we'll go to another one with a couple of slappies. All right. Today we have a unfortunate flag of Japan, and you're going to find out why.
Why is that bad?
Obviously, Japanese is great food. I mean, that is for sure.
Yeah.
This has been a little bit of a misstep sometimes. I'm hoping it's much better today. And it's a different fish. It's not tilapia, but it's teriyaki salmon. Okay. We've had teriyaki tilapia before. That, to me, wasn't my favorite. But the teriyaki salmon should be okay. The last piece of salmon I got was sashimi, and that had to go by the wayside. So hopefully today's is a little bit better cooked. Right there, I know Andre had a very similar experience with his last piece of salmon and was not very happy with it. Palantir now puts us happy because now we're in the dollar club for Palantir. Teriyaki salmon, roasted vegetables, some potato, and the famous chef mixed green salad there. So that's what's for lunch. I think it's a good potential. You know, I love the salmon.
Seafood.
And, yeah, nothing wrong with a little bit of salmon in your life. So just the last time it wasn't the greatest, but this time it will be. So looking forward to that today. A little piece of teriyaki salmon.
I literally was eating seafood all week. Like,
yeah, of course.
There was one. We had barbecue because I can't go down south without having barbecue at least once. But outside of that, every single day I was eating seafood, and more seafood. So there's no chance it's going to be as good. But I'm going to enjoy salmon. It's one of my favorites for sure. While we were gone, which wasn't very long, Intel broke the trend line. So despite the fact that the plan of action was to be long Intel today, this will be the first time, and it took until about 10:50, whatever it is right now. It broke the trend here. We're long in the volume weighted average price. But as that happened, IBIT bouncing, market bouncing, BMNR, which oddly enough, it's weird because all these shorts worked out. We took the consolidation short because we missed the VWAP short, but it broke. So, take the consolidation, breaks that prior high, get out, wait for VWAP. It's still broken the trend. You're still relatively weak in IBIT, so I'll wait for it to get into that volume weighted average price. But every now and then, the market will do this to you where, like, I sat down and I liked Intel long, did not take it off of the open, and we're suddenly into it looking for that test into VWAP. There's still some small cappers out here for everybody. I know that WNW, shoot, I already forget what you called it. Maywu.
Yep.
Maywu just made another high, now 200% to the upside. So shout out to anyone that actually, if you bought it when we were trying to figure out how to pronounce this name, you're now up another 30 or 40% or whatever it works out to. 550, the current local high on WNW, which someone in the chat was like, that sounds like a failed wrestling company. I'm like, yeah, I could see that, WNW. Why not? But anyways, if you like these small cappers, I think this is one of the better ones out there. I'm sure Sharif will be all over this bad boy. And oh yes, USO still holding VWAP. It's teetering. Like, it does look like it wants to break back down, but I can't enter that Oxy short until I see a little bit of weakness. Or I shouldn't re-enter the Oxy short is what I should say, until I see some weakness over in oil futures. We're sliding all morning long right into the open, but it's been all bounce since about 10 o'clock. So until this turns, I don't know if there's going to be that secondary short. You have the market going up with oil, which is a bit of a first. I would have expected maybe we'd come back down here, but it is Oxy that I'm looking to take that trade on if I see that weakness in USO start to come in. Oxy's still making higher lows as well. So higher lows on USO, higher lows in Oxy. Hard to grab that short while that's still happening. But I guess we should be happy with the fact that the market is trying to make that bounce. I don't like it if oil futures continue to go higher, though. I like the way that we were sliding back down earlier.
Yeah, no, Trump is still supposed to be speaking, so.
Well, we don't know what time.
Yeah, so that'll be the oil mover, I would think, there, as he talks about that island there in Iran. Was it Craig Island or something like that, or something like that? Anyways, we're going to talk about
that. It's like the funky spelled one.
Yeah. That'll come into play at some point here. Just looking at Palantir, I mean, it's just bounced a couple times here off the 200 period. So obviously we've been getting more out. I'm just going to wait until I should put an order at 20s, which is sort of in between the 50 and VWAP. It's just like one little push up and it'll go. So like we're just sitting there now. Hopefully we can get that fill. And then looking at how many shares we traded, we only have now just over a quarter left of Palantir. So hopefully it'll get us out at that 20 level and we could be happy with our trade right now. So that PAVS was something that's been halted a couple times and just got halted again there and reopened 56 cents, opened up a little bit lower into 50 cents. So here's a small cap name that you guys could look at there as well. Yeah, I see what you're talking about there, Barton, about Palantir bottom of the first 5-minute candle, break or fake spot. Yeah, so we're gonna have to wait on that right here. That's the spot that I was holding it out if you're talking about the first 5-minute candle of the day. That's what made me long. And I actually just, I just tweeted that exact out there. So I don't know if you saw me tweet that out or that's just what you're talking about, because right into there, that's what I just circled. Just tweeted it out right now. We circled that bottom take there for Palantir, right? So a very similar look for me on Oracle. And again, maybe we are going to fade out just a bit. I'm going to punch some 80s, get a little bit out there. All right, so Oracle, we're out of here very soon. But that was the same similar play for Oracle right there. We didn't get the very bottom. We took it a little bit earlier, but able to run that. But then look, once it broke that low, which is right here, right there, we had a big candle to the downside that was almost immediately bought up. So I almost think the same thing could happen here for Palantir. If we do wind up breaking, watch out there. So I'm not gonna stop out immediately at 151, give it a little bit lower, but that's gonna be a play. See if we break and then just can get bought right back up again. And you're gonna see Sharif and Joe trade, but NVIDIA's been just doing this. Like we're up, the only stock we're down on is Amazon, but we're gonna be we're up on NVIDIA, but pretty flat trading. So I would say wait for something to happen there. And then here goes Palantir trying to break through 152. So that's really all that I have my eyes on right there. Palantir, wait to see if NVIDIA moves on any sort of a conference talk. And yeah,
2 o'clock.
Waiting for NVIDIA to get to 152.20s and get some more out.
Yeah, that 2 o'clock, we'll see what Jensen's able to do for the stock. You never know. Could be sell the news as well, but At least for now, it's looking a little bit better than it was earlier. I just want to point out, shout out to SoFi. I just saw it in the chat. SoFi has gone green on the session.
Yeah,
so
took it long enough, man. Everything's up 1%. Come on.
Hey, it's up 0.8%.
It's up 0.8 right
Well,
now?
1%.
Oh, good.
It just
Okay,
flashed
good.
a point. It's up. And now it just did it again. There's some dark pool prints going off, I think, that are skewing that. But a nice little bond been made. This could bear watching this afternoon. Volume candle bottom. Consolidation level from Friday was 18, 12, or 13. And you've got the same high here today. This could be a breakout. If this market wants to make some fresh highs, why not SoFi? Why not? Oh, by the way, USO starting to turn back to the downside. So we'll leave you with that. USO pulling back in. I'm just going to show you the black chart because it's Oxy that I'm watching here. USO's breaking this trend. If it loses VWAP, going to take the trend break short on Oxy. And with that, it's 11:01. So we come back, we give a little extra time, and just because I'm saying so, we do an extra minute. So Joey and Sharif owe us 2. So you'll see us back at about 2:02, maybe 2:03. But for now, enjoy yourselves with Joey Options, Sharif the Professor. We're gonna get some salmon. Hopefully it's cooked well.
Good luck on the salmon. Yeah, I think it'll be good.
We'll see.
I love teriyaki salmon.
I do. I just want it to be cooked right. That's all.
Okay, over to the midday. See you guys. 2 p.m. We're back.